What's up, Twitch? What's up, Kick? What's up, TikTok? We are back. Countdown to getting canceled. We're back.
Speed run.
Speed run, baby. We got Dur in the chat. Not John is nowhere to be found. Rest of us are her. Just forgot. Live.
There we go. The fastest way to get canceled.
Facts.
Oh, that's probably why we won't see Logie on there as much anymore.
No, I feel like there were times where I had it 18 plus and he was here.
Mm.
Okay, work. Now there's a video. Look at the controls for this shit. That's why I like using CapCut. It's so much easier. But I want to learn Premiere.
Yeah, Premiere Pro is pretty good. I know Adobe people always have good things to say, especially with their new AI tools.
Yeah, the only AI tool I really use from them is the one that lets you auto caption. It's kind of bad, but it saves you some work, so I'll take it, I guess.
There's one that they came out with recently that allows for you to take out all like the dead spaces in a video automatically. So anytime that there's like no conversation, it will automatically cut that out. If it hears a bunch of people going like it'll also cut that out to just have the sentences.
Really, because they
Yeah.
auto scene tool is, I feel like, endeavors to do that, but it's kind of bad at it.
Mm. I mean, I've only seen
What's
and
up,
heard good things
Leon?
about it online. So, but I never messed around with it myself.
Yeah, Leon, my day's going good. What's up? How we doing? I feel like Leon's gonna try and sell me something. Here we go. Let's take bets. Okay. I was just getting bored. Oh, okay. There you have it. Well, welcome, Leon. Welcome to the chat. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitch, we're on Kick, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere. Right now, we're working on some videos, so I can have stuff to post tomorrow. I'm gonna have to schedule them because I'm going into the office. But yeah, that's the deal. John Burger.
Yeah, I saw the one that you posted today on TikTok.
I posted a couple.
It was the one where Nah John was like, "Yo, I don't even understand slavery." When there's openjobs.com.
Yeah, that was funny.
Oh, dude. Oh, man, I'm super tired. All right, so are we crashing out today?
I'm not gonna crash out ever, but
Get out of here, bro. You crash out pretty frequently. You just crash out in a nuanced way. You're like, it's always gray. Your crash outs, we should call it gray outs for you.
gray out.
Yeah. Not John and I. We crash out. You gray out.
Gray out. All right. Well, no crashing out. Not for me at least. Trying to figure out a way to like lower the volume on this so people will hear you. I can hear what's happening in the video. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do it. See, this is why I gotta use Premiere Pro.
Oh, there was a new youngest wrestling Olympian just crowned.
Oh, oh. What they win?
They won gold for wrestling at 20 years old. Yeah, her name is Amit Alor. Yeah, yo, she's yoked, bro. Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it, AMIT, but dude, she is jacked, bro.
Probably how she won. Jacked.
Yeah, that's crazy. Question for you: do you think jacked like women are hot?
Wait, what happened?
Do you think jacked women are hot? I know some guys are not into that. They like petite, like women.
I think like I have a taste for it in the right package, I suppose. That sounds like I'm
What does that even mean?
Women, so maybe
What does
that's
that
not the
mean?
best verbiage. Like
I don't even know if anybody understood what that meant.
if it like suits my fancy, sure.
Okay, so if you're into them, it doesn't matter if they're super ripped or if they're
Yeah,
petite or if they're like
yeah.
really fat.
Well, I don't know about that last one, but yeah.
Yeah, bro, I don't mind a muscle mommy.
There you go.
And beat me in an arm wrestle. It's okay. Just make sure that you beat me somewhere else later too. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of that, I'm on the episode of The Boys where Starlight and Huey go on their first date.
Oh yeah.
She's she's not a muscle mommy, but she's surely can do muscle
Stronger
mommy
than him.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
I mean, Starlight is also pretty hot.
So you like petite women then? That's your
No. I don't mind. I don't mind like muscle mommies. Like if they're pretty like jacked, I'm like, all right, that's cool. But look up a picture of Gabby Garcia. To me, that I'm like, that's a little too far, bro. Like if my girlfriend's taking steroids, I'm like, yo, I don't know about that. Like if you're 260 and all jacked, I'm like, yo, man, I'm dating Brock Lesnar here. You know?
dating Brock Lesnar.
Look up a picture of Gabby Garcia.
Nah. You can post it in the chat though.
She's a multiple world time women's Brazilian Jiu Jitsu champion. Pull it up. She's actually about to have one of the first intergender $1 million competition. So I think it's every 2 years.
She's gonna
there's this
fight a
competition
guy.
called yeah, but it's in jiu-jitsu. It's not like striking, just grappling.
Oh, okay.
So every 2 years, there's
because I know you're against male and female fighting, or intergender fighting, or mixed gender fighting, or mixed sex.
I mean, I think
fighting.
it's fine. I think
I
actually think it's fine if they
sex
both.
Is a better way to describe it.
I think it's fine if they both agree to those terms. I just don't think it's an even playing field at certain weight classes. But this is just pure grappling, and she's way bigger than the guy that she's going to be going up against. All right, I'm going to pull up her picture. Yeah, dude. Gabby Garcia built different, bro. Gabby Garcia looked like
It's called Gabby.
So I think she's like 240 pounds, bro. Like she's massive. And it's all muscle. I mean, she's obviously on the sauce, but
she's obviously on the sauce. Well, why do you say? Also, if she was obviously on the sauce, how was she able to get into these competitions?
Because jiu-jitsu, they don't drug test.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so jiu-jitsu is one of the few
That's
martial arts
crazy.
where they actually do not drug test to the point where the greatest. Right now, there's a guy named Gordon Ryan. He's known as the
Yeah,
greatest.
Carlos is obsessed with him, and apparently Carlos said that he's on the sauce. So I guess that would
He's
make
on the
sense if they
sauce,
don't drug test.
and his opinion is like, yo, if you guys aren't drug testing and all of my competition is taking steroids, why would I not do this? You know,
That's
it's like
fair.
why would I give everybody else this edge that I'm gonna not allow for myself for some moral undertaking when nobody else follows that opinion.
No, sure. There you have it. I just hear that it makes your coconuts shrink to peanuts.
It does.
So I just want to stay away from that personally.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is it's not all steroids have the same negative effects on your body. So like there's different classifications of steroids depending on what your goals are. Like you
Yeah,
remember Lance Armstrong, the guy who was the Tour de France winner?
yeah.
He wasn't taking like androgynous testosterone that would make him like shrivel up his gonads. But he was taking something that increased his red blood cell count, which made him have a way higher level of endurance than the rest of his
Mm,
competition. Because he wasn't powerlifting. Like I mean, it's important to have strong legs if you're biking, but you don't have to have the ability to squat like 500 pounds. You know, you just have to have
yeah.
endurance because you're going for a long time. So
Actually,
that
so
steroid is different.
there's this I'm not sure what the name of the Olympic sport is. It might just be cycling. But like they're indoors, they're on bikes, and they like just go in like circles on this
Oh,
like
it's on a
indoor track,
track,
and they
right?
all have huge thighs, bro. Their quads are
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. Same thing with Do you know the UFC champion TJ Dillashaw?
Nah, I don't know anything UFC pretty much.
Okay, well, he's one of the he was the world champion for one of the smallest weight classes. He was a world
Okay.
champion at 135 pounds, and then he dropped down to 125 pounds to challenge to become a double champ. But at 135 and 125 pounds, your goal isn't to gain as much muscle mass because you'll be too big for your division and too slow. He was also
Yeah.
taking EPO. He's extremely fast, but
What's
he needs the
EPO?
cardio. It's the steroid that helps. I forget what it exactly stands for. I can just pull it up real quick. But what it does is it increases your red blood cell count. So it stands for, oh, this is a hard word to say, erythropoiesis stimulating agent. In a clinical setting, EPO is primarily
All right,
used for
chat,
kidney
roast him. He
failure.
said it wrong. Roast him, chat, roast him.
The synthetic EPO increase their red blood cell production, their hematuric, and thus their ability to carry oxygen to their tissues. So it like blows up your cardio ability and your recovery.
Mm,
So if you're somebody who has to like for sport like martial arts where you have to meet specific weight classes, if you're a small guy and you're not planning on going up a weight class, you don't want to add on more muscle mass. But if your weight class relies on speed and accuracy and cardio, it's a good steroid to take because then you're not going to get gassed out and you can be as fast as you want for longer and recover
mm.
better than your competition.
Interesting.
Yeah, but look up that picture of Gabby Garcia I sent you. She ain't on that EPO, bro. She's on that. She's on Trent or whatever. That she is huge, and she's fighting this guy. What's his name? He's from New Zealand. Craig Jones. She's gonna go up against this guy named Craig Jones, who is the second best grappler on the planet right now, and he offered her $1 million for their competition. So winner takes home $1 million.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think he actually has a really funny quote on jujitsu. People asked him, they were like, what makes you the best jujitsu practitioner on the planet?" And without
Mm.
skipping a beat, he's like, autism.
What? What?
he's like he's like the best people I've ever met that were in jujitsu were slightly autistic.
Mm.
He's like, if you gave me the option of finding a kid who was autistic and I can give him steroids, he's unstoppable.
Yo,
It's not John.
Oh, what
Yeah.
up?
I got a question for you guys. Does the YouTube app does it play like songs and videos for everybody?
What do
Yeah.
you mean?
I want an intro
Like,
song.
would we be able to hear it? Oh, you want an intro song? I mean, you can test it,
I have
like
one.
play
I have
it.
one right here. All right, let me see if I can work. All right, you guys can still hear me?
Intro song is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but I'll allow it.
That's okay. All right.
I'll allow it. We didn't ask your permission.
I'll allow it.
We can't hear any song.
Yeah, nah, John. There's no song coming up.
Fuck, how do I share it?
Maybe
How do
if
I
you share
play
your
it for
screen.
everybody?
Maybe if you share your screen and then play it.
All right,
That's a thought.
and that was a good thought.
That's
Stars
all I do is
thinking.
have good thoughts.
Fucking Durr spitting already. The night's early.
Just thinking.
All right, you guys ready?
Go
Yeah,
for
go
it.
ahead and share your screen.
You guys see my screen?
I can't. I mean, I'm not gonna be watching it, but
You can
I'll
hear it
listen
though.
to the intro.
Nah, I can't see your screen yet.
How about now?
Nah.
I'm sharing it.
Right.
Yo, who's
Yeah.
this one with the soundboard?
That's me. Yo. All right. How about now? How about now? Yo, this
Nope.
is some
Nah.
bullshit.
Try disconnecting it.
No intro song
Try
for John.
disconnecting and reconnecting. I think because it worked the other day. Try disconnecting and then reconnecting.
I think it'll add to the entertainment value if I have an intro song.
Okay.
What is it? Is it the John Cena?
Maybe. All right. How about now?
Nope.
Let me try one more thing and go up after that. All right. Let me try one more time. Fuck this piece of shit, bro. This piece of shit. Fucking foreign technology.
Wait, what?
Nothing. I'm not crashing out.
Bro, already starting to crash out.
I'm not. Stop it. All right. How about now?
Nah, I still can't hear your intro.
Yeah, I can't even see your screen. Let me see if I can try sharing mine.
I'll play it when I get home. I need this intro song, but we'll
Are you in
we'll
the
just
car?
pretend. We'll play movies. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it just went. Oh, you gotta press watch stream there.
Can you see my screen now? I'm just
Damn, yo,
scrolling
why
on
you got
Instagram.
naked dude on there, bro? No, I'm playing.
He
I'm watching your whole screen. You
doesn't
got some dude with no pants on.
Yo, what,
he's
dude?
lifting
no,
What are
you
you
something heavy.
talking about?
See, don't click on it. All right, yeah. You guys gotta click watch my stream when I share.
Oh, that wasn't an option a second ago.
So it's gonna pop up where all of our like names are, and you can
Yeah.
see us in Discord. All right, so ready?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Okay. All right. Is there an option now?
It's saying that's my screen, even though I thought I stopped sharing.
As you can switch the other apps for your friends to see.
Here, let me. Why is it saying still share mine?
Wait. Try now. It should be working.
Now, 1 second. I'm gonna drop it and join back in. Yo, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like, let me see. I'll watch it.
Morning, George.
Crazy.
Is that the German national anthem?
Oh my god.
It's my intro
That's
song.
that's dumb. I'll get out of here.
You're
Stop
no.
watching.
Oh
You're
my
no.
god. What's more concerning is that this has 93 million views.
The reason why that's just Max. That's just like the new fucking Cardi that comes out. You know what I mean? Like it's like the Beatles. All right, that's it though. Yeah, that's all I wanted.
Oh my god. My man started off. He's like, yo, let me have a crash out intro.
And they can't say anything either because it's not like anything to do with that. So they really can't say shit.
John's literally just trying to find a way. Oh
I'm
my
gonna
god,
find all
what
the
have we
ways around
gotten
the rules.
into?
I will push that fucking rubber band as far as it goes without breaking any rules. I promise you that.
John, I just feel like it's just not like a
They
smart.
can't say anything because it had nothing to do with that. It's
But
literally
like, what are you
just
trying to
a song.
do? What is your goal here, John?
What is my goal? I wanted an intro song. It's a
You want an
military
intro
song. You
song?
know?
Okay.
I'm like tough like the military. You know what I mean? Like type shit.
Who's military? I think that's the problem.
Who's military? That's
Yeah.
up for interpretation because it did say a couple different places on there. So TikTok, we love you. You Chinese fucks, we love
Yeah.
you.
Who? John.
What?
Calm
What?
down.
What? What you going on about?
John is just insulting like everyone he can insult.
I said we love you.
We don't
Isn't that
co-sign
how's that
anything that
insult?
John says. We don't co-sign anything that John.
Yeah, I'm my own entity. I'm my
You're
own
completely
being.
your own person.
I seceded from the group. I'm my own like continent. Like if they're like USA, I'm like fucking South in 18 whatever.
You're what?
What?
What'd you say?
Nothing. Yo, can we talk about how
Alright.
sick the sauna is, bro?
I got a
We talk about how fucking like
topic
amazing
that
it
I
is
wanted.
sauna. Are you guys big sauna guys?
I'm not a huge sauna guy, no.
A big
I also don't eat
You're
like caviar for supper, you know what I'm saying?
You don't eat caviar?
No, I don't.
Damn, man. Damn, you got to get like me then. Fuck.
Yeah, I gotta type shit.
That's it.
Glue is watching.
There's
extremely
fine
good
now.
for you.
There's got that Mexican Wi-Fi.
Glue, yo, what up,
Did that
Glue? Glue, I don't need your criticism, dog. All right.
Yeah, Lou, shut the fuck, piece of shit. Your mama doesn't love you. Stop it. Fucking piece
Did
of
you say
waste, man.
sauna? Like the
Yeah,
say
like when you
sauna, like
sit,
the
you
heat
sit in
room?
the heat and you sweat your fucking balls out. Yeah, like that shit.
Yeah, dude. So there was an old YMCA that I used to go to in my town because my boxing coach was teaching there, and then afterwards I would hit the sauna. But then all of a sudden, man, all the old dudes would show up butt ass naked, and it's like I'm not trying to see all that, bro.
At least
These
wear
are
a towel.
lies. He was definitely trying to see all that.
We did. Wait, yo, we did see the video when he shared his screen. I'll play.
Yeah.
No, literally.
No.
Nah, I feel like the old dudes, they just like to, like they'll have a towel around their neck,
Hold on, guys.
and
I
they'll
gotta
be
go
walking
grab
through the
something,
whole.
or my girlfriend's gonna be pissed
They'll
at
be
me.
walking through the whole gym like with the towel around their neck, like the whole locker room. Like you could just put that shit around your waist. You don't need to be like walking like that. They like showing that shit. It's actually insane.
Dude, 100%. And the worst part
I don't
about it is
understand.
there was this one guy. He was like almost 80 years old. Credit to him. He's like already retired. He wanted to stay active, and he was boxing with us. Nice guy. I've known him for years. But when we went to the YMCA, he would come into the sauna or walk around
Yeah,
the
follow me,
locker room
baby.
butt ass naked. And dude had the largest cojones I've ever seen in my entire life, and I could have gone the rest of my life without having to know that.
Yeah, he probably had like fucking something swollen down there or some shit.
Bro, he looked like he kept the. It looked like he had kids in there from like the 1960s.
You said kids from the 1960s in there?
Yeah.
Are they life? Are they living? Does that mean that they're life? Do they have a heartbeat?
Oh,
Don't get that.
don't get Slice started.
Don't get fucking Jorge started. Jorge. Oh shit! There's a
Dude,
cat. I almost just drove over a cat. That's crazy.
that was
Is
the
that bad
worst
luck?
argument I've heard. If it's black, yeah.
It's black. You know how racist you fucking sound right now, you piece of shit.
Well, dude, it's even more
Fucking
racist when
waste
people
man.
say if a black cat crosses your path, that it's bad luck.
Yeah, but why is it on Halloween? It's like the sickest shit if you see a black cat, but the rest of the year, you're like fucking blessed with or cursed with like 7 years of bad luck.
Yeah,
What's
that's
that?
racism right there. Racism.
Literally, bro. Like, forget our conversation last night about the fucking difference in housing. We need to talk about this black cat situation. This is like the real piece of shit in the United
Yeah,
States.
dude. Orange
Fuck all that
cats and
other
white
shit.
cats are all chill, but black cats, nah.
Black cats matter. Is that a movement? Should we start it?
Yeah, yeah. BCM.
ECM. It's tight. Shit. Black pussies matter. It's gonna be one of them nights. Telling you.
Oh, dude, have you paid attention to? Do you know who CoffeeZilla is?
Yeah, I love that dude. Fire. Pause.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great content creator. Did
I
you hear that he got?
I like how he's trying to like his mission is to take down Logan Paul. Fucking
Yeah,
bastard.
well, yeah, not just Logan Paul, a lot of other people, but recently it's been Logan Paul.
Right. Yeah,
But have you heard of
he's broke, bro. Did you hear his new video? He's broke.
who's broke? Oh, CoffeeZilla.
Off his ill. He's like begging people for money right now because
Yeah,
he needs his lawyer fees paid.
yeah. So the reason why he needs the cash is because his insurance isn't going to cover the cost of legal team. So the way that his shit is set up is he has insurance that should deal with covering the cost for legal fees, which some businesses have. Like if you're in the business that would typically get sued or you're open up to that, you can apply for lawsuits insurance, and they'll cover the cost of your legal team up to a certain amount. His insurance is not going to pay for this most recent lawsuit. And the backstory is apparently Logan Paul has a company that's based out of Canada that I think it's called like Liquid Trading or something along those lines. Where
Yep, shell company, fake shell company.
well, this one's a direct company. What it does is instead of having to purchase like a Pokemon card on your own, you can purchase a percentage of a Pokemon card and kind of own like a portion of a stock for that card. And if it sells, you make some money. Apparently, they raised $10 million, and out of that, $3 million was allegedly embezzled. Just used. I can say embezzled. It was misallocated funds, allegedly, and they were suspecting that out of the 10 that they've raised, 3 million was used for luxury purchases by the CEO and a couple of other things. He talked about that online, and immediately he had legal representation from Logan Paul's team pull up to his
Yo,
team,
what are you happening,
and well, you missed it, but we're talking
There's
about
very sensitive
you
content,
don't know this.
Every day.
Did you?
Yep. Well,
Probably because
not like just got it, but I just returned to see it.
probably because we were talking about black hats. Anyway, we were talking about CoffeeZilla. You probably don't know who CoffeeZilla is, right?
Talking about who?
CoffeeZilla.
CoffeeZilla.
Yeah. You don't know who he is.
That is not.
So he's an internet journalist that has a decent YouTube channel following. And what he does is he finds people who are trying to scam people online, like companies, individual scammers, crypto scammers, NFT scammers, and he breaks down why they're a scam. And he recently got into a legal battle with Logan Paul, which like was for this one company that Logan Paul had where he was selling NFTs and cryptocurrency, and he broke down how this was just a big scam, and Logan Paul ended up scamming, allegedly scamming his fans for almost like $3 million.
Proven to be a scammer, not alleged.
Yeah, did you say you doubt it?
Actually, I'm not surprised.
Oh, yeah.
He's worse than the Indian scammers over in fucking Bangladesh, bro.
Those are two different places, bro. Those aren't even the same. Bro's really like he's like those Japanese scammers in China.
Piece of shit, yo, he makes them look like fucking Mother Teresa. I swear to God.
Yo, he's like those Swedish scammers in Finland. Yeah, he's like those British scammers in Germany.
You want to know why I hate him so much? At least with those Indian scammers, he calls you up and he literally says his name is like Paul, and you're like, no fucking way this dude's name is actually Paul. Like you kind of pick up that the scam is a scam, but this dude, he gets everybody to trust him, and over again, he has his fans who love him. He takes their money and scams them over and over again. That's worse. That's worse to me.
He had the crypto one where it was where he was pushing like Dink Doink, and then
John's getting roasted.
Scam number one. He's done like 4 of them by now.
And then he had the NFT Crypto Zoo and the regular Crypto Zoo. So those are the 3 that I know of.
And then you could argue that Prime is a scam because that shit fucking sucks. It's so nasty. It makes you want to throw
up. Bro's just like I'm an A1 hater.
Shit's like piss in a bottle. I swear to God. Actually,
I've actually never tried Prime, so I don't know.
My little brother got it, and then he let me try some, and it literally tasted like pure sweetener. Like they just dumped all the sweetener they could find into one bottle and then put some water in it. Like that's probably like stevia. You know, like the taste of stevia where it's tastes very artificial.
Yeah.
Think of that, but like 5 of them bitches in one little bottle.
Don't you think it's a little weird though that everyone gives him shit for Prime, but no one ever gives KSI shit for Prime? They're both part owners.
I think it's because he's all the way out in the UK. That's probably what it is. Because he's so far away, bro. Like people don't American people don't really care about UK people. Sorry if I offended you, but we don't really give a shit about you guys. So yeah, that's probably what it is. Because if we were in the UK, I mean everybody hates on Central C.
That's what
that's an example right there. What?
Why do they hate
that's what John apologizes for. He's like, sorry if you're in the UK. Anything else though? I stand by it.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm really not sorry, but they hate on Central C because they think he's I don't know. I don't fucking know why they hate on him. They just do. Like him and Ice Spice, they do not like them too. Ice Spice, they had. Oh, I know what it is. When he came out with that video with Lil Baby, they were fucking making fun of how he was rapping, and then it's funny because in the UK. The people in the UK were making fun of how Lil Baby was rapping. They said he sounded like a nerd. So they were mimicking it. It was actually pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, because Lil Baby sucks too. Fell off.
So, question that I have for you guys: the reason why I brought up the CoffeeZilla situation is,
yeah, you got me started, bro.
When you have a big follower or big following like Logan Paul or Jake Paul, and they put out this NFT or crypto scam, do you think all the responsibility falls on? I mean, I think the responsibility falls on the creator for scamming people, but do you think any of the responsibility falls on the actual person to believe that they're going to get rich off of a crypto push by Logan Paul?
Yeah.
I think there's always some responsibility that falls on the other party. Like, people are not mindless drones, so. If you're out here getting scammed left and right,
that's honestly very debatable. If people are mindless drones, people are idiots.
Yeah, but you have some degree of agency. Like people shouldn't scam, but if you're out here getting scammed super easily, figure it out.
Okay, so when
there were people who got scammed for $50,000 to $250,000. if you have $250,000 to invest and you put all that money into a Logan Paul crypto or NFT, bro, first of all, I'm surprised how you had 250 to begin with, and then two, you're an idiot. It's one thing to lose maybe like $20 or $100, but $250,000 you put backing into Logan Paul, that's crazy. And
All right,
you're dumb.
let me ask you. Let me ask you a very valid question. So when Harneet from fucking Mumbai calls your grandma and schemes her out of a social security scam for like $2,000 because she's trustworthy and her generation is trusting, is that her fault? Do you blame your grandma or do you blame like the piece of shit scammer over in
Like I
fucking
said, I
Mumbai?
blame them both, and the vast majority of the blame goes on the scammer. The person getting scammed is a victim. I'm not going to take away from that, and especially if they're like old, but like that's not what happened in the Logan Paul case.
It's the equivalent
Yeah.
though, because the equivalent
It's really
is
not,
built up.
because it's like
No,
you like
no,
don't
listen,
know
listen,
technology
listen.
exists.
The
You
equivalent-
like grew up with most of your life where this
he
technology
built up-
doesn't exist.
Listen, bro. Yeah, listen. The equivalent is that he built up their trust. So similar to how a granny like trusts a random person on the phone because her generation just trusts everybody on the phone. It's equivalent to how you have an influencer building up the trust
All right,
of their
fair.
fans for years and years and years. And you grow
Fair.
up on this person,
Fair.
and then all of a sudden it's like, don't meet your heroes. You find out they're a piece of shit.
Yeah, but I think you can blame your grandma for being misinformed. Like there's no reason to be at any age and be willfully misinformed. Like you should be able to do a little bit of research and be like, yo, I there's this thing that goes on, and if I receive a phone call from somebody and they're like, yo, it's the IRS, you have to send us a gift card. That is your fault for being so misinformed that you think that the IRS requires a gift card for you to pay them back. You know?
You know what I say when they do that bullshit? They'll be like, well, you've been a good citizen, so we're gonna send you $100 gift card. This is what I always say. I say, all right, so there's a $5 shipping charge, right? So why don't you just send me a $95 gift card and then take the shipping charge out of that? And they're always like, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm like, what? Why the fuck not? And then boom, scam
Bro,
evaded.
John, remember junior year when we called some scammers and try to see how long we could keep him on the phone? And this guy got pissed at me. Like this dude was like, "Fuck your mother" and like all this shit. I'm like, bro.
They always
really
go to your mother for some reason. They say "fuck your mother," "fuck your family." Like to the same. Like, do you guys not have any other roast besides talking about my family?
You know the
song
Road. You know the song "Road to Mumbai." The one that's like.
Oh, yeah, that one. The fucking. It's called like the Punjabi fucking shit. Is that actually called Road to Mumbai?
The name is Road to Mumbai. The artist's name is Punjabi something, but the song is called Road to Mumbai. And me and my old roommate, whenever we got one of those scam calls, we would talk to them for a little bit, and then we would start playing that song in the background and just put the phone speaker up to it.
Yeah, that's tough. Nah, I'm not gonna do it here because I don't want to get you banned. But yo, sometimes I'll just be like talking to them in Indian accent, and they actually think I'm Indian. So I'm like, yo, can I come like visit your scam facility? I don't call it a scam facility, but I'm like, where are you at? Like, I'll come pick it up, and they start giving me their address and shit. And then at the end, I say like, fuck your mother, and they say, oh, Ben showed, you fucking Ben showed, which is like apparently like a big thing in their country. If you call somebody a Ben show, I don't know.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean shit to me.
Dude, what's crazy is the scamming industry is massive.
They make bank, bro. They make like $3K a day. These guys, they're making insane money.
Yeah. So Mark Rober, right?
Yeah.
So for the people who aren't chronically online, like me and not John, Mark Rober is a former NASA scientist. He has a YouTube channel where he does, and he's a really cool guy. He does like engineering videos, and he partnered with this other group that helps find people that scam and that are based out of India. And he devised a plan where they hired a local person who was a former scammer in India. They got him a job at one of the largest scamming facilities, and they had a four-part like prank to play on them. Part number one was they made these like water bottles that if you untighten the cap, it released fart spray. Another one was these lunch boxes that were full of rats and cockroaches. And then my favorite one was they got these they got a fake Viagra prescription and put the CEO's name on it and left it in the male's bathroom.
Yo, yeah, bro. Nah, these people just like they're just making so much money off of the backs of Americans. It's actually insane. Like, I feel like that's a like much bigger problem because these guys. I mean, I've had people like I've seen people do like in depth, investigations on these guys, and some of these facilities they'll be like fucking 5 to 10 guys in a room making like
Yeah.
$4,000, $5,000 a day doing this because they'll call.
Yeah, they make a lot of money.
Thousands of people an hour. Yeah, bro. Well, imagine like 4,000, 5,000 split between 5 people. Actually insane how much money is getting taken. It's mostly from the elderly, which sucks because
Yeah.
I feel like they get like beat to shit. Like you put an elderly person in like a home or some shit. There's like abuse that happens there. They get scammed. Like
Yeah.
like they literally get like people like fucking bump into them at the grocery store and shit like that. They're just like they get the worst part of shit. I feel bad.
Do you think that there's a moral uh what's the way I'm trying to phrase this? Like, do you think it's super morally unjust to do what they're doing, coming from a situation where they're at? Like, if they try to get a good job where they make, maybe like $15 a week versus a job where they can make thousands of dollars, like, do you think that outweighs what they're doing in their eyes?
In their eyes, no, they don't give a shit about Americans.
Yeah.
So in their eyes, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to make bad money, like that shit. But in my eyes, they're pieces of shit. So I mean, because at the end of the day, the whole concept of it, you're stealing, and regardless of who you're stealing from, it doesn't matter. It's still stealing. It's still like fucked up. Especially the people you're stealing from are mostly elderly people, which is like, what if we were stealing from their fucking grandmothers? You know what I mean? Like that's insane. Like
Yeah.
they probably wouldn't have it. They probably would have an issue with that if you bankrupted one of their grandmothers.
Oh, no one would like that. But I'm just saying from their perspective, like,
No, their perspective, they don't give a shit. A lot of these people who do this fucked up shit, they justify it to make themselves be able to sleep at night. There's like, you can really justify anything you do. Like I don't care what, if you kill somebody, you could be like, here's my reason why I did it. You know what I mean? If you did this, if you're selling drugs, you can be like, yo, I'm doing it to feed my family. Like you could justify any fucked up shit you do, really. So they're
yeah,
probably justifying the fuck out of that, rationalizing it.
yeah. Have you heard about this? What's one new scam where if you have a big online presence, where even if you're not like a large online creator, but you have
Mhm.
videos of yourself online, there are these new scammers who now will take your voice and run it through an AI software and make it sound like you're the one calling your family and being like, "Yo, I just got like nabbed. They need you to send money to this account. Don't get the cops involved." Have you heard of this?
So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna watch these streams back, and I'm gonna take George's voice or Slice's voice, and I'm just gonna start calling random people and just saying some crazy shit now. That's my new goal. You okay with that, bro?
Yeah, I'm eating, but fuck you, John.
Yo, piece of shit. Yo, I'm gonna call your boss in your voice and be like, yo, I want to take a shit on your desk, bro.
Yeah, they never believe that.
This
I
dude's
don't know.
too
It
much
depends on how old
disgusting.
they are.
They said he goes, is this really George? Yes, this is Slice. This is Slice My Life. I'm gonna do it. It's happening. But no, that's a crazy scam though. You can make people commit crimes. You can make people like get fired from places.
Yeah.
Like the end goal. I don't see that being a good thing for the world.
Now it's crazy how people can find something as powerful as AI and use it for such evil ways.
Mm-hmm.
There was an episode of like Law and Order SVU where this person catfished two people. One of them was like a really famous online influencer, and the other one was a famous like MMA fighter in the show. And the lady catfished the two of them using like different people's voices and convinced the MMA fighter that the popular influencer was really into like rough adult stuff. And if I say stop or no, don't stop, I'm really into that like I think it's called consensual non-consent stuff. And he ended up following through with it and pleaded guilty to the one of the most delicious fruits, grapes, so that they can go after her. Yeah, but it's crazy what people can do.
I don't like how you said one of the most delicious fruits before that.
Because I didn't want anyone to confuse the word grape with the bad word. You know?
That's just a crazy way to frame what you're about to talk about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Don't get confused with the fruit grape and the other thing. I should have said it that way.
Yo,
I love grape.
do we need to put my intro song back on to teach you a lesson? Nah. I mean, like, that's gonna fuck the world up. I mean, there's a lot of things that are gonna change. Like, with the whole AI shit, the customer service industry is gonna be destroyed. Because the new AI is like so technologically advanced that it can have fair conversations with you, and you would not even know that it's a fake person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I literally, there's a new update for OpenAI. It's this AI software. They're like the people who make like ChatGPT. This company who makes it. They have this new voice recognition mode. We've had this conversation, and they keep saying it's going to come out. I mean, at some point, this thing's going to come out. Like the actual, like Apple every year they have that little conference where all the nerds get together and they fucking go up on a stage.
WWDC.
Like the guys in the turtleneck.
This man said all the nerds get together. Yeah, too much.
Yeah, shit. So,
I mean, he's not wrong. WWDC, the Worldwide Developer Conference.
Yeah. So basically, they had one of those for the OpenAI shit, and they showed the new software, and it's insane how like realistic it is. Right? So I go on the ChatGPT, the one that's existing right now, and I'm like, hey, I have a Mac computer. I want to change this setting. I want you to walk me step by step through how I do this. Like, how do I set up a printer, this exact model, like an HP DeskJet? How do I set that shit up? It goes, all right, so what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the top corner and you're going to click the Apple button, right? And this is where it gets amazing. I was like, I don't know where the Apple button is. I don't know what it looks like. It tells you what it looks like, what side of the screen it's in. And then I said, okay, now what do I do? And step by step, that shit walked me through everything that I'm going to do. We don't need customer service people anymore. I hate to say it. Like, they're going soon. I don't know if it's going to be 5 years, 10 years, but they're fucking gone. Sorry, customer service people. You're fired.
I think chat-based customer service is gonna be gone sooner than later, less than 5 years. But I think in-person calling for that is going to take a little bit longer to be widely adapted by all these different companies.
This shit talked to me and said that.
Like in voice?
So I talked to it and I said, I can't find the start button. Like, I'm really having trouble finding the start button. And then it said, you know what, you're gonna go to the top left corner. I said, I don't see it there. And it said, all right, let me try a different way. Go to the bottom left corner and you're gonna click this button to be able to get you where you want to go. So it problem solves if it can't figure it out. There's like multiple ways to do shit. It'll tell you like different ways to do it. It's insane. Like my fucking grandmother could do this shit. She could follow that. That's how easy it is.
Yeah, that is crazy. Dude, there's gonna be so many industries that get wrapped up because of ChatGPT. I'm just afraid of this next generation of doctors who graduate medical school using ChatGPT.
Guys, there's a website that shows you like the risk of your job or the risk of you losing your job based on what industry you're in. I saw the chart a little bit ago, but yeah, it's interesting stuff because a lot of these jobs are going to be wiped out.
Yeah, I
I
think
think it's
it's,
going to
it's an
drastically
interesting.
change the social situation in the country because like a ton of these jobs are like middle class slash lower middle class jobs. If all these people suddenly can't work, what do you do?
Yeah, I think it's going to force us to have the conversation about universal basic income when so many jobs get taken up by AI.
You know, I'm thinking that could be actually a good thing, right? But hear me out. So, if we have all the customer service people, all the people in the factories, all the people with jobs that can be replaced by AI, if they get taken out, right? You know, they get fired from their jobs. Let's say they just don't make it. Let's say that they try their best, they don't make it. You know what I mean? Like, go homeless, whatever happens to them, right? That, you know what that does? That leaves a lot more money to raise the wages for everybody else. So maybe we got to just take one generation and just like say like, hey, let's fucking everybody who's in there just go homeless. You know, it is what it is. And then for the next 30 generations, all these other problems will be solved. We just got to sacrifice. Maybe shit. I might be onto something. No cat.
That's the most cooked thing I've heard in my entire life.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know about that one.
Sacrifice. We got to sacrifice a whole generation, and then we'll save the rest of the
Without the intro
generation.
song. Without the intro
Yo,
song.
let me put it back on. Yo, let me put it
Yeah.
back on. That's a theme song to the stream. Yo, we said
Um,
that's the most cooked thing I've ever said. I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god.
I
Sometimes you
think it's
guys
definitely gonna.
type shit.
I think it's definitely going to force people to figure out different ways to be able to support people in society. Because I mean, no matter how you slice it or dice it, if a decent chunk of your population is unemployed, it's not good for your economy because that removes buying power
Mhm.
from a big chunk of your population, and the economy is going to suffer from that. I think it's going to force us to have to look at universal basic income
Oh,
for people who aren't making money.
oh, I have a good idea. Oh shit. Okay, so back on what I was saying, right? Instead of sacrificing these people, you deport them to Mexico or Canada. You send them up or down. You send them one fucking way or the other fucking way. So they go colonize the other countries in the name of the United States. No war, no violence. They're just going over there. They're making their own way. They're getting the jobs that aren't taken over by AI. And then that way everybody wins. So they leave, they go up or down, maybe left or right, depending on if they want to sail or not. And then from there, we have less population, so more money to raise the income. What did we talk about last night? You got to fucking triple that shit to be able to make people, afford housing. So we triple that shit, but we get rid of like a quarter of our population to send them up or down.
Now John is 2 steps away from eugenics.
Wait, what?
No,
You
dead
said
ass, dead ass,
genocide?
dead ass. Like, why are you
Wait,
so
what?
okay with like displacing millions of people? Like, like a grand culling of people. Why are you more okay with that than like I don't know raising taxes on the wealthy?
No, that's not. I just said good luck on that shit. I didn't say that it was bad. I just said good luck having the wealthy agree to that shit, especially because they control shit. I mean, I don't have a problem. I'm not like a fuck. I'm not making $1 million a year. Like, it's not my. It's not gonna affect me. I just
Yeah,
said
no,
good fucking luck.
he's 2 steps away, bro. We have the same conversation next week. He's like, you know what? We don't
Yo,
need
let's
some of these people. Let's start giving
let
them some shots.
let's get rid of every third child. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's the next step. That's so funny.
Bro is 2 steps away.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Something's got to give because all these presidents are like blah blah blah. I'm gonna fucking do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna like fucking wipe your ass for you. Like they make all these promises that they can't keep. And you know what? They go up there. November comes. They get in office, they sit their fat ass in that fucking chair in the Oval Office, probably stinking that motherfucker up with all their gas they have, and they do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. And for other 4 years, they fucking bullshit about, oh, this is what I've done, this is what I've done. Then why are all these issues still happening? Get rid of the issues. Sacrifice.
Yeah, but
John
that's also because
2024.
Yeah, all right. So I know you're trolling.
I'm like half serious, half trolling. Like I actually am serious about them going in the office and like taking up. They're just like wasted space. These presidents. Like I don't care who you are, they're wasted
I agree
space
with you on that.
because how long? If we listen to Bill Clinton back in the '90s talk about what he's going to do for the world, I wonder if he said, "I'm going to fix homelessness. I'm going to fix this, and this, and this, and this." And look what 20 years later, 30 years later, that shit is still an issue. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like literally nothing's changing. Maybe like minute little points, like maybe percentage. Like okay, so
I'll
if
be
you
back
buy
to this
Bitcoin,
later.
if you buy Bitcoin and that shit goes up by 10%, because you just got lucky, you're gonna like if you're a politician, you'll go like I raised fucking $1,000 in Bitcoin. You got lucky. That shit's gonna go down at some point. You know what I mean? So it's like they just like get lucky about shit. Maybe unemployment goes down a little bit because of the economy changes and shit like that, but then they take credit for it. I don't know. It's
John,
just
you're
like makes
onto
me want to pull
something
my
there.
hair out.
Yeah. So like a lot of the times.
yeah. That's the only good point that you've had.
I think that every point I made has had some merit to it, and I think the best point I made was getting rid of a quarter of the population. That shit. Actually, we need less people. Too many
Anyway,
people.
yeah, presidents oftentimes take credit for things that they had no hand in. Like every president has done this. The most recent example being Trump and Biden. Trump Yeah, they're just
In
hanging out, bro.
November,
They're just hanging out, shooting the
you
shit.
move in when it starts getting cold out. You decorate your room. You go to class, and then when the fucking spring comes out, you move out. You move out 4 years later. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
literally what it is. They're like, all right, I'm gonna go stay at this house for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go. I don't
They're
know.
just
Maybe
shooting
the
the
four
shit,
years.
man.
Maybe we need a supreme leader, an absolute supreme leader for about
Oh
30 years.
jeez. Oh jeez. Well, so that's a policy that Rome had where it was like in
Yeah,
times of
dictatorship.
emergency, yeah, like all power would be like held under one person, so you can make decisions quicker. And I mean, it was a toss up if that motherfucker was gonna give the power back, and like some of them did, and some of them didn't. Caesar,
Yo, I mean, they made like a fucking hotel after him. He can't be that bad.
Well, they also shanked him up. I don't know if you knew that.
They knew where leaves on his head. I don't trust that guy. I don't trust anybody who wears foliage on the head, bro.
Foliage on their head.
Like that's just a weird shit to me. I feel like you just, I don't know, like you eat mushrooms in your spare time in like a corner of your house. Like you're just like weird. You know what I mean? You just like weird shit.
Actually, funny enough, there was the Romans were drinking wine with ergot in it, which is a fungus that causes hallucinations and psychedelic episodes. Like it was a very small amount, but they were always slightly buzzed from drinking because water wasn't safe, and then they were also slightly inebriated through ergot, which was a fungus that grew on wheat.
On weed?
On wheat, like the thing that
Oh
you
yeah,
use to
yeah,
make
like
beer.
bread. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, oh, I thought you were talking about the good stuff.
I was like, yo, I didn't
yeah,
know fungus could grow on weed. I thought weed was its
yeah.
own fungus in a way.
No. Weed is not a fungus, but I
Yo,
mean,
imagine if you mixed those two shits. Like you had like psychedelic mushrooms that grew on weed. Like I wonder how much different that shit would be for people.
dude, there would be way
On
more
top
people
of-
that were schizophrenic and in the hospital if
Did you
that
ever
was
hear
the
about
case.
that Connor Murphy guy who did all those? What was that drug he did? Ayahuasca, I think. He just like did that shit all the time. Was it ayahuasca? And he lost
Oh,
his
I don't know about
mind, bro.
ayahuasca. Dude,
Like,
ayahuasca is a tough one. I mean, it also forces your body to purge. You'll like crap yourself, throw up, sweat. Like it's
yeah,
not something that you. It's the reason why it's also only used for like religious purposes in South America where it grows. It's because it's so violent on the body that most people don't want to use it recreationally. You can't do it all day, every day. You'll
this
be
motherfucker
your
was
body
doing
will be
it.
screwed.
He was doing it 3 times a day, bro.
That guy built different.
Like,
Oh, he's
I know
dead
you
as
know how
fuck.
Connor Murphy is. He's the big jack guy who used to go in the street interviews and be like, "Yo, what color shirt am I wearing?"
Actually, I
And he
don't
had
know
like
if
a
he's
little.
dead.
He had a little fucking handkerchief at the top of his hoodie, and it was red. And he pulls it down. He has no shirt underneath, and this is abs showing. He's a fucking weirdo. But
I don't actually think I know him.
he did like ayahuasca like 3 times a day, and he literally lost his mind. He went on a 60 day, might have been 60 days, but he went on a 60 day food fast, and he
That's
lost like
crazy.
Crazy.
fucking 80 pounds, and he was just doing ayahuasca all the time.
There's another guy who didn't eat for over a year. He was like morbidly obese. I forget what decade this was, but it was before the 2000s. He was like super morbidly obese. Couldn't like he just didn't have the ability to lose weight for probably self control reasons. And he went on a no food diet.
Nice.
All he would do was drink water, and he was like monitored by a health professional team, and they studied this. And he ended up losing all this weight from obviously because you're not eating, and they had him on a diet of just like water and vitamins for over a
Oh
year. And he
shit!
went from like maybe like 400 or 500 pounds to like 180
Damn,
or 160 pounds, and kept the weight off.
that's actually crazy. That actually makes me wonder a point. Do you guys think that being fat is a negative thing? Do you think that like the you should fat acceptance is a good thing?
I don't think it's necessarily a good thing. I think some aspects of it are good. Like you shouldn't hate yourself or your body because of the way you look. I think that's something that's going to be out of your control to a certain extent. And because of that, if they're pushing body positivity in the sense of don't hate yourself or don't hate the way you look, then I think that's a good thing. But I don't think it's a good thing to promote being overweight as a healthy alternative to exercise and loving yourself. Like you should,
So,
if you really care
so
about who you are, you should be able to put some time into to making sure that your body is a capable body if you're able-bodied. You know, like if you have the ability to move and you're not like physically disabled, then learn how to use your body. But if you don't like the way you look because you're short or because you have a big nose or whatever the case may be that you're insecure about, I think that's the only good thing that they promote. But being
so yo,
unhealthy just for the sake of self love is not a good thing.
yeah. So okay, so if you smoke for 40 years and you look like a fucking deflated Michelin man, like do you think that you should love yourself? Do you think that you should love your smoking and your you know what I mean, something that hurts your body?
No, but those are two different things. Like I
No,
was
they're
talking
not.
about things that are out. No, I was talking about things that are outside of your control. You can't control your height.
Being fat is in your
You can't
control.
control.
You
Yeah, that
control
is
how much
in your
food you put in your
control.
mouth, right?
Yeah, that is in your control. And
Yeah.
if you don't like the way you look because you're overweight, that's something that you can change. But if you don't like the way you look because you're short or you don't like the physical features that you're born with, then you got to learn how to love yourself without that. You know, like those shouldn't be criteria to
I
how
think you
you see
can.
yourself and impact your self esteem. Like you shouldn't be happy with yourself if you because you can control being a smoker. You can control how much you eat. Those are things that are within your control. Things that are outside of your control, you need to learn how to live with.
I think you can still love yourself while striving for change, um,
Not to, yeah.
and like growth.
But isn't
Like
loving
for
yourself
somebody,
accepting yourself?
well, yeah, you can accept
You don't want
yourself
to
and
accept
still
yourself.
like you can accept yourself and like still be like I need to lose weight. Like those things are mutually exclusive.
Because if you accept yourself, how are you going to ever push yourself beyond? If you accept what is, then you're content. And content, how are you going to? If you're 300
I
pounds
think you're like
and you're like,
thinking
I accept being a fucking
accept
300 pound
like
person. That's going to
in
be
too
tough to
much of
lose
an
300 pounds.
absolute. Like I said, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can accept yourself for like who you are and what makes you an individual, and be like, yeah, I would like to lose some weight. Like you are not like your weight. You know, you are more than
Right.
Well,
like
nah, you
your
kind of
number on
are,
the
bro.
scale.
The
Well, there you
first thing
have it.
somebody
That's a
notices
difference of
about you when they
opinion.
see you is weight.
That doesn't mean that person's assumption is correct.
It's an objective thing. Like when you walk through and you see somebody hobbling through an airport and they're 300 pounds, what's the first thing when they're fucking huge? What's the first thing you think? Do you think, oh,
Um,
that person is probably really nice, or you think, wow, it's a big person? Even if it's subconscious, even if you're not trying to be a dickhead.
I don't know. Like me personally, I just don't care. I'm just like I don't. It's not something I'm gonna think of like that hard. But I'm not sure if like yeah, there are probably people who will have that knee jerk reaction when they look at someone. I don't know if everyone is having that. Damn
Yeah, I don't think it's an absolute. This might be the only time that I ever want gray out slice to come out. Um,
it.
Fuck, he doesn't want to get canceled
um,
by all the big people.
Wait, what?
Nothing.
You said I don't want to get
um,
canceled by all the big people.
He doesn't want to get canceled. They'll all come for you with pitchforks, bro, and there'll be hot dogs on the pitchforks.
Jonas being an asshole now, but that's pretty funny.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay, nah. You should love yourself, but you shouldn't accept yourself. I think accepting is being content. Like that. Accepting is like a. When you think of accepting, you think of like, all right, this is what it is. You know what I mean? Accept it. Nah, you should like love your personality, right? You should love your personality and your non-physical traits. But if you look in the mirror and you're huge and your doctor's telling you, hey, Jerry, you got 5 years to live if you don't lose some fucking weight. No, you shouldn't love yourself. You should hate what you are. But you should love your
yeah,
I
personality
think you
and you
can
should,
still
you should
love
love everything
yourself
that
and
has
be
to do with
like,
your
I need
brain.
to lose weight, John. Like,
right, because that acceptance. One, I think you're looking at it too much as an absolute. Two, in order to be able to make that change, you have to
the
accept
city
that
is
that's a
so
necessary
dangerous.
thing. You have to accept that that's a necessary thing for change. Like it's hard. Like if you really like imagine somebody who's depressed and they hate themselves, and you tell them that they have only a couple of years to live. That person is not going to have the same ability to make changes because they already don't accept who they are, and whether they're around or not isn't a big deal to them. But if you actually care about yourself and you're accepting yourself as the individual, right? Like separate from the health problem. If you
You
accept
just
yourself
you
as the
just made my
individual,
point. You just literally made my point.
I don't think so. Because you're talking
Yeah,
about
because
hate
because
coming from
because
the
because
place
I
of
said
hate.
I said I said you should love the non-physical aspect of yourself, and you literally just said like if you tell a depressed person, which is all mental, that that to not to not love themselves and all that stuff like that,
Oh my
that's not
god,
the same
dude.
thing. I'm telling
I'm
you
getting
physically,
ran up on.
physically, if you're huge, right? And I'm not leaving. I wouldn't even say like I'm like against fat people. I just know that you'll die at some point. Like you're gonna. Like you're
I
not gonna make it
mean, there
like past
are.
45. You know what I
That's
mean?
just not true. Like
That's
how
one of the
like big are we
biggest
talking? Because
that's one
you
of the
can be
biggest
like
killers.
overweight and like still live a long life, longer than
Yeah, but
people
the
who are not
statistics are
overweight.
not there, bro. They're not in your favor.
But like most Americans are overweight and they're doing just fine. Like if we're talking like morbidly obese, like that's a different case. If we're talking like overweight, like the vast majority of people in this country are overweight and our life expectancy is still like in the 80s, I believe. So like people aren't like dropping dead from like eating
So
too many
so
burgers.
imagine if we can get that shit to like 100. If we 2 out of 5 Americans, it says right here. So out of us three, one of us is about to be fat at some point. I think it's gonna be George. I have a feeling.
I mean,
But
probably.
anyways, in 20 years, you'll be like 300 pounds, and I'll have to yell at you and be like, "You fat fuck." Um, But no, it's just like
Yeah.
it's like proven. This is a proven thing. Just like injecting yourself with heroin and like fucking like smoking a cigarette. These are proven things that kill you slowly over time. So the fact
Yeah,
that
I'm
it's
not like
being
disagreeing that
champions
it's unhealthy.
is weird to me. It
Wait,
shouldn't
what
be
happened?
champion. You should hate it.
I'm not sure if people are championing being overweight. I think body positively or body
Nah,
positivity and yeah, some people are, but those people are not the norm. There are certainly outliers, all right? But like most people are just like, yeah, you're overweight, but don't hate yourself and don't like be depressed about how you look. They're not saying like, oh yeah, like actually go eat more burgers. That's the play.
My
yeah, I think
point my
it's a
point stands
minority.
though.
I agree with you on that.
My point stands of you should not hate you as a person. You should hate the fucking body you're in because you built this
No,
shit.
no, 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 no. Because
You
there's
you
certain things
built
that
you
are
built the
outside of
temple
your
large,
control.
bro. You built
There's
that.
some things that are all right, but by that same logic,
You
you're saying
slowly did it
some
year
guy.
after year.
All right, by that same logic, you're saying that if somebody's born and is only 5'5", like that's the body that they're in, they should hate it. Like there's no reason to control that. Or if
That's
they're
not
born with the
controllable.
oh, okay, so you're only talking about the things that are controllable, right?
Being fat is controllable.
Okay, I agree with you to the things that are within your
No, I'm
control,
saying, am I
but
wrong? Like, am I wrong or am I right there? Is being fat controllable?
to a certain extent, yeah, for most people.
No. If you put the fork down, will you lose weight? If
Hmm.
if
If
you
you
if you
put the
eat in a
fuck
caloric
down.
deficit, if you
Yeah,
eat in a
you're gonna lose
caloric
weight.
deficit, will you lose weight? Yes or no?
Yeah, for like 95% of the people on the planet, yes, that's correct.
So there's a 5% who can eat in a caloric deficit where their body burns more and they're just like a genetic freak and they just where does the body pull the energy from?
95 isn't probably a good example, but there are people who have hyperthyroidism that prevents them from being able to lose weight as efficiently as people who have a normal hormonal balance.
Yeah, I know people who have hypothyroidism and they take medicine for it.
Yeah,
And
I
and,
mean,
and even
yeah,
if
you're
they
right, but
even if they didn't, bro, they still I've watched these people, close people to me who have that. I know somebody who has hypo and hyper, and they lose and gain weight.
yeah,
Depending
I
on
think
how they
that's
eat.
why
If they
I
eat
think
like shit, they start gaining weight.
in most people's cases, it's extremely in their control. Maybe let's say less than one
It
percent,
just
honestly.
doesn't sound good. That's why people are like kind of fucking dodgy on it. It sounds like, oh, you're like picking on a fat person. No, I'm trying to keep people alive. I want people to live as long as they
I
do.
think both could
And
be
yeah,
true. I
yeah,
think you
yeah.
could be picking on people and trying to keep them alive.
Well,
But
how you want to take it is subjective, but I mean,
how do
like,
you mean it,
I'm
John?
not saying you're a bad person. I'm not saying that somebody's a bad person for being fat. I'm just saying you
They
shouldn't
should
be
just
like
hate themselves.
shouldn't be happy
They
with
should just
Yeah,
with
you
with,
said they
with, with,
should
with
hate themselves.
they should.
they're not a bad
I
person. They should just hate themselves.
I think
And
that's a
I stated
wild
a particular
position.
point. I stated a particular point, so let me keep my position completely clear. You should hate your physical self. I literally said that your mental, like your brain, your personality, like the things you have going on in your life, your
I think
friends, like
that's like
everything that's not
I
physical,
think that's
you
also
should hate it.
unhealthy. Like
You
you're
should hate it.
like your advocacy of this position is that like your position is more healthy, but I think it's also unhealthy for someone to hate themselves. So like here you are trying to like, oh, I want you to lose weight because I want you to live longer. But also if you like don't or until you do, you should hate yourself and that might cause you to live a
Unhealthy lifestyle.
an
Yeah,
unhealthy lifestyle as well, right? Like
Yeah, maybe, but here's the
you
thing
can't
that
you can't look at it as a monolith, right? Like I think your mental health plays a big factor in your physical health.
I was just gonna get
People
into
who
that.
are Yeah, people who are depressed or people who are going through hard times, it's hard for them to be able to even get out of bed to be able to take care of their physical self. And to start the conversation being like, well, you should hate yourself because you look like a piece of shit is not gonna give them the is not gonna give them the confidence
see John, that's what you were
to make a
saying.
change.
That's what you were
No,
saying.
but okay. Here's the thing, right? Just like I made the point that bullying is a good thing. I think that it stems back to you should have. I mean, what you really need to have a good aspect in your life is your coping skills, because some people
Yeah.
they like
Holy God,
they
is
get
good.
bullied and they fucking like go do Columbine and shit like that. Like some people do that shit, but I
Wait, what'd
mean,
you say?
if those guys had good coping skills, they would not be doing that shit. I promise you. So the real issue here is coping skills, because you shouldn't be happy if you're 300 pounds and your heart rate is what's like your resting heart rate's high and your blood pressure's high and you have like a shitty diet. No, the fuck you should not be happy with yourself. Like who the fuck? What kind of idiot is gonna tell you? Yo, oh my god, this is like you're doing the right things. You should be just happy with like where you're at.
Again,
No,
John, I feel
you
like
should
they're
not get
not mutually
complacent. You should
exclusive.
not get complacent, because happiness brings complacency in that situation. Like if you're happy with it, why do you need to change?
They can be
Yeah, but you
happy
can be
about other
happy.
things, and I don't understand what. All right, bro.
No, you shouldn't be a miserable person. I'm not saying you should be a miserable
You
person, but
said you
with
said they should hate themselves.
yes, you should hate your physical. I literally kept saying it. Your physical self, you should hate, but your mental, your personality, everything that's not physical, you should
That's
love that.
fine. Yeah, you should love
I've
that.
been making
Okay.
that point this whole time.
But that bleeds
Yeah,
into
I
your
keep
mental.
repeating that point. You guys
I
keep
think you
That
trying to
bleeds
make
came
it
to
into
seem
that
like
point after our pushback, but fine.
I said that
yeah,
from the
but
beginning.
I wouldn't say that.
Piece of
I
shit.
think what you're ignoring is that it's all like it's all connected. It's not just a monolith that you can hate one aspect of yourself. If it's a really a big issue, it's going to impact the way that you view yourself mentally as well. Like if you look in the mirror every day and you're like extremely depressed about it, rather than being hopeful for the fact that you can make these changes, then you're going to be a little bit more depressed. If you can look at yourself in the mirror and like the person, not the physicality, like the person that you are, and care about who you are as an individual, you're going to be more likely to be like, you know what, I like who I am. I'm not defeated by this. This doesn't control who I am, and I'm going to make a change. That is different than being like, I hate what's in the mirror, and being depressed by it and struggling with it, having yo-yo diets, rather than being somebody who can be consistent over time because they care about who they are and they care more about self-preservation than they do the hate that they feel for themselves.
Oh, your angle's sneaky. Oh, you're a sneaky motherfucker, aren't you?
What do you
I,
mean?
I see your angle. No. What
What do
I'm
He
you
saying
said
is
your
mean?
angle.
you're equating hating something about yourself to being depressed, which is not the truth. Because if you have good coping skills, you wouldn't be depressed about it. You'd be able to cope.
Okay, okay, but by your same logic, the same person who
You'd be
hates
able to
themselves.
problem solve, and logically. Hey, Slice. Critically think. Hey, if I don't lose this weight, there's a chance I'm not gonna fucking make it, bro. I'm not gonna make it in the long run. I'm trying to be here for a long time. You know what I mean? So if you
Ron, you're gonna be
critically
here
think, which is
roughly 70 years.
it might be right, but hey, I had the statistical chance of being here the longest. So if it's my time, it's my time. It is what it is. But that you're equating hating something about yourself to being full on depression and like literally
Yeah, but I mean,
diagnosably depressed.
I don't know if you know this, but there's this thing called body dysmorphia. Have you ever heard
Yeah,
of it?
yeah,
People legitimately
yeah.
hate the way that they look, and then they have eating disorders from that. You
Yeah, that's some bullshit.
have. How is that bullshit?
Because it's I mean, of course, like you're not happy with yourself, so you're gonna keep going and going and going. But if you're critically thinking that hey, maybe I'm big enough,
Well,
maybe I have enough muscle.
it's a disorder. It's not that they're
Right.
like
So isn't our
brains
whole
cannot
spiel that you're
conceive of
supposed to
it.
critically think? Why are we switching lanes right now?
What do
I
you
think
mean? No,
it's
no, no.
different when
That's
it's a literal like
disorder.
psychological diagnosis that whereas like your logic is in a disorder, like your brain cannot logically think in that case because of something that has happened. But that's like people who like are just stupid are don't necessarily have a disorder. They're just not. They just don't care enough to think about it.
And dude, you're only thinking about it from one aspect. Like, there are a lot of people who are super skinny and don't think that they're skinny enough, and they harm their bodies to the point where if they're like a woman, they lose their ability to have a period because they've starved themselves. If you're a man, you starve yourself to the point where you have no testosterone in your system. Like there's different aspects of that, but hating yourself doesn't change the fact that you're gonna be able to be more successful. I think what it leads to are those EDs. Yeah, that's my point. It needs to come from a place where you care about who you are personally, maybe not physically, but personally. You have to care about who you are as an individual, and then you can start to get out of a mental slump or a depressive episode, or work on ED problems. But without those things, without that self care or that ability to have self preservation, which comes from caring about yourself, you're not going to see much success.
So okay, so I have a question. Just I don't really have an opinion on it. I'm not gonna state pick a side. But have you guys heard of Darwin's theory of natural selection?
Yeah,
Yes.
who hasn't?
Okay. Okay. So do you think that a squirrel that runs across the road, like those type of squirrels that get hit by cars, do you think that it's natural selection that they are, maybe they're just not fit, and then the strongest survive, and then that's gonna make a better generation?
Bad
Would you agree
example,
with
but I get
that?
what you're saying. Bad example, but I know what you're saying.
Because you know that shit gets passed on, right? So if you have I don't know if what you're allowed to say, but if you had the one where you don't eat enough, which
Yeah,
I know people who have done that, in my family, like way down generations, I've seen that, right? But they just like didn't eat. Like what I've heard from family members, they just like stopped eating, and that shit is genetic, so it gets passed on to people. So do you think
yeah.
that there's some type of if it happens where they aren't able to reproduce, is that such a bad thing for future generations?
From a
Eugenics,
evolution
bro. You said
perspective,
it. You said
yeah.
it. Eugenics.
I told you. I told you. I was just wrong. He was one step away. He was one topic away, not even 2 days away.
I'm just saying, are we trying to make a better world here, or are we trying to make a worse world?
I hear what you're saying from a genetic standpoint.
Because
I get it.
if you're saying that this is something you can't control, your point is this is something you cannot control, and it is what it is, right? You're just gonna like not eat and like fucking starve yourself to death, or you're gonna overeat and vomit and all this shit, or you're gonna be one of those jack dudes who takes a bunch of steroids and they're way too big and they die like Rich Piana. One of those people. That gets passed on, right? So basically, you're just giving it to your kids to put them through that shit.
Yeah, but the way that genetics works is it isn't 100% one way or the other. There are going to be people who have kids that are predisposed genetically for certain things, but their kids don't display that. You know?
Okay. Okay. So if you could either have $1 million or your dick gets chopped off and you had a 50-50 chance of that, what would you take that chance?
Well, I'm taking that millie. What are you talking about? That's not even a. What does that have
So
to do with
so
anything?
so 50-50 chance you have to chop your dick off forever. Or on the other side, you get $1 million. 50-50 chance. Are you a betting man? You're gonna take those odds.
Wait.
But that
I'm
has nothing to do
confused.
with your
Like,
argument.
Because
It
yeah.
has nothing to
because
do with your argument.
you're like gambling. You're gambling. You're saying, well, yeah, just because you cannot pass it on, that might be good enough in itself. There's a chance you might not pass it on, but there's also a good chance that you do.
Yeah,
So,
but genetics aren't 50-50 either. Like
well, how
there are
much is
people
it?
who are. It depends on whatever whatever the
What's the
actual.
percentage?
It depends on what defect you're talking about.
Give
Like
me the
maybe things like
decimals.
all right, we can bring them up. So one, it depends on you and your partner. It's not always just on one side. If you and your partner are like have two recessive genes for the same thing, right? Your kid's likeliness of being born with that is a lot less than if both of you guys had two dominant genes that displayed that whatever trait we're bringing up. And then even within that, there's different percentages based off of what illness it is. There's a lot of people who are born with a specific gene expression that never comes into play because their mom didn't have that same gene expression or was recessive in her but dominant in their dad. Like it's not just a 50-50 like, oh, one person has it, so 50% chance that the kids get it. It all has everything to do with both parents and what they bring to the table.
It's
in
50
terms of,
to 80% of the risk for developing eating disorder. 50 to 80%.
Well, that was a good example then, I guess. But I was talking about other shit too.
I just looked it up. So yeah, so that's some pretty fucking shitty odds over there.
Okay, but what about this? What about the fact that like if you dealt with that and you developed coping skills to fight against EDs, would you not want to have kids, or would you want to have kids and make sure that they have the skill set to combat whatever those illnesses are?
The most ethical way to combat genetic defects is to
This is a crazy shit. I just know him so well by now.
the most ethical.
I just know him so well. When he takes a long time to say shit like that, and he's just like,
I think it's gonna be far-reaching, but I don't think it's crazy. The most ethical way to stop genetic defects is to get rid of like inbreeding and segregation. So like a lot of like populations. Well, listen.
That's a good fucking turn. Holy shit.
Listen. So like.
Yeah, explain. What the fuck?
So a lot of us in the history of the human experience are a product of inbreeding. And so
Type
those
shit.
like no, like straight up. Straight up. Oh wow. Okay. Well, if we like, let's say you're like Irish or something, and like the Irish have I'm making all this up, but like the Irish like on average show like higher blood pressure or like higher chances of getting like this kind of cancer or like something like that, right? Well, the easiest way to get rid of that is by like not having kids with another average Irish person. Have kids with like somebody from like the other side of the world or something, and like so you like lessen that possibility. No pure blood. Get rid of all the pure bloods. Get rid of all the pure bloods.
So like you be like eliminate
That's
them?
exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying.
Like,
Well,
But that's what I'm saying. Like the like reason those things persist is because of segregation and incest. Like
that's a big claim. So you think that all the genetic disorders that are passed on are because of incest?
I don't think all of them are. I think the reason a lot of them persist is because we don't diversify the gene pool enough, and like people are just like fucking their like fifth cousin.
Slice, why didn't you say anything when I was making that point?
Oh, I actually like
and repackaged it.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I was too focused on the story in the game. But if you made that point, then I'm on board.
Yeah, I was talking about recessive and dominant genes. It depends on if both parents are carriers versus.
All right, well, those are like not exactly the same point.
I'm looking at. I just looked it up. It says eating disorders are complex conditions that arise from a combination of genetic, environmental, and psychological/social factors. They are not caused by inbreeding. Here are some key factors to support this claim that contribute to the development of eating disorders. Then it goes.
I didn't say that was caused by inbreeding. I said
you did say that. Those
no, I didn't,
words.
John. Why are you like this, John? John, why are you fucking like this?
You literally just said
why
that.
Are you fucking like this?
That's why they
I didn't say all disorders were a result of
I said
inbreeding.
eating disorders. I literally.
Okay, well, I wasn't fucking talking about eating disorders specifically.
So what the fuck were you talking about then? What disorder are you talking about?
I wasn't speaking to any specific disorder.
Fucking herpes? Like, what are you talking about?
John doesn't know how to like speak broadly. Like he's super literal about like everything.
No. We were talking about eating disorders, and then you said that this is why they.
Okay, but I wasn't speaking to eating disorders specifically.
So what are you speaking to?
I made a general claim.
About what?
About why genetic.
What is one of the examples of
about why negative genetic mutations persist is because the gene pool is not diversified enough.
Oh, I can give you one good example. Sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell anemia is a predisposed genetic disorder in people who have.
Actually true. I'm not gonna lie. That's a good point.
Yeah, but listen, we gotta change this from 3 idiots and a mic.
That's a race thing, though. That's a race thing. So literally,
shut up, Dart. Shut the fuck up.
That's what supports.
Yeah, we're changing this from 3 idiots and a mic to 2 idiots and a professor.
Facts. Yes, sir. Yeah. All right. So,
That is
anyways,
that's one example that supports what he's saying, where if you diversify your gene pool, your ability to express sickle cell anemia is much lower because that's highly developed in sub-Saharan African regions that have to deal with malaria. For somebody who comes from sub-Saharan Africa where malaria persists, but then you have kids with somebody from northern Europe, the chances of that child getting sickle cell anemia isn't impossible. It's just lower. And that's what Slice was trying to say.
I don't know. I mean that makes sense because that is a race thing, and he said talking about how an Irish shouldn't be fucking other Irish people. I mean, it just kind of sounds like he's just making a point that had nothing to do with what we were talking about because we were talking about eating
Did.
disorders, and he goes, "Well, he's inbreeding, blah blah
I was
blah."
speaking
And
about.
he's saying
Oh
that
my
doesn't have
God,
anything to do with
John.
it.
John, just because you couldn't follow what I was talking about doesn't mean
No, but you
I
just
wasn't.
no, you made a point that had nothing to do with that.
It did.
I
It
mean,
did.
Because then I asked you if it had anything to do with it, and you said, "Well, I'm speaking broadly." No, we're talking about this exact thing.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
I think it's called like a fallacy.
Sure.
I mean, if you want to be specific, there's
You
certain
did a
ones that,
fallacy.
if you want to be specific to ED, there's certain things that are environmental and there's certain things that are genetic, but that doesn't mean that it should be stopped. Like, that should stop everybody from um, reproducing. Like, so I have 5 siblings. If one of my 5 siblings expresses depression, right, like clinical grade depression, and I don't, I still carry the genetic makeup that my offspring might have that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're guaranteed to get that. Like, you still have a chance that that's not the case. And just because it runs in your family doesn't mean that it's something that should be avoided. It should be what I said earlier. If you learn about that being a predisposition for your family genetic makeup, you should learn the ability to cope with that, even if it's not.
Diversify the gene pool.
Well, if we're talking about things that aren't just based off of like your specific like genetic makeup, like every race is going to have depression or ED, but you should learn the skill set to cope with it because that's what makes you a good parent. If my brother or my sister had an ED problem, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't have kids. It should mean that I should learn what the signs are and what are ways to cope with it so that when I do have kids, I can instill in them good behaviors that help alleviate that from being a factor.
Stop fucking your cousins.
Yeah, pretty much, bro.
I took out of here. So we're fucking our cousins too much.
Pretty much.
Some places that's pretty normal. But
You heard it here first. Quote of the day.
Diversify the gene pool.
Stop fucking your
I
cousins.
feel like I was spitting, and then all you guys took from that was, all right, no cousin fucking.
And that's real. Like,
No, that one's wild. Well, let me hit you guys with a quick segue. What do you guys think the chances are that we're going to enter a World War III?
it's not impossible, but I think it's very unlikely. It's
What
not
makes you
in
say that?
anyone's. It's not in anyone's interest to do that. Like, I don't think the world can. The world is unless these governments. This is gonna sound conspiratorial, but in the rare case that these governments want to just start a new world order, and so they like start a war, and they're all in cahoots on it. So like a bunch of the population of all the countries die, and they create radical change that way. Then maybe, but if all things being equal, like why? Like no, World War III would be abysmal.
I don't think that it's going to necessarily move to anything that requires nukes. I think almost every major country that's a player that would be in World War III will have nukes, and that deterrent is going to stop that from being the case. But I do see that there is a chance where if Iran goes to direct conflict with Israel, they're gonna have some of their allies join in the same way that NATO is going to go ahead and if the U.S. has direct conflict with another country, that they're going to back us. Like if Iran goes to war with Israel, then there's a chance that China will help them not directly with troops on the ground, but with resources the same way that we do with Ukraine. And then they go to war with Lebanon, which is also a big possibility. They're already basically at an active G side, like, and then you already have Russia with Ukraine. And then if America hops in because Iran hopped in, I think that's going to kind of start the process that could lead to WW3. The same way that something super simple like Archduke Ferdinand being assassinated led to World War One. Like it's something that was small that only affected Austria-Hungary, but then all their allies hopped on because they're like, "Yo, we got your back," and that caused World War One.
What do you think? Go ahead.
I said if there's a World War III that's gonna happen, hopefully they won't bring nukes into it because mutually assured destruction and all that. But if they are not gonna bring nukes into it, I think the most likely way it happens, given the current geopolitical climate, is that tensions continue to escalate between Israel and like Middle Eastern countries. Tensions continue to escalate between the U.S. and Russia. The U.S., which I mean, it's looking like they're gonna do this, like, doesn't back off of the Ukraine has to join NATO thing. If the U.S. sticks to the Ukraine has to join NATO and Israel and those Middle Eastern countries or Arab countries don't start getting along real quick, we could be heading to World War III because Russia is never gonna. Right. Like Russia is never gonna allow the U.S. to put a military base right next to Russia. Like that's that. I mean, talk about national safety. Like if that doesn't, if that's not a huge breach to your national safety to have your like biggest competition have like nukes in your backyard, like no country is gonna let that happen if they can help it, and certainly not Russia, right? And Russia is gonna. I mean, they're already making alliances with China. Putin just met with Xi Jinping to like secure that alliance. They are in cahoots with North Korea. Like, if the U.S. pushes this issue, Russia is gonna call their allies into a system, and then NATO is gonna get called in. That's World War III right there. That's World War III right there.
That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what I was saying.
I'm really wondering, bro, when it does happen, which at some point it's going to. It's just, it kind of inevitable. Somebody's gonna get pissed off, and even though NATO's there, we got like, what is it? We got like France on our side, fucking United Kingdom, like they're on our side.
Having France on your side doesn't mean anything. The French are the weakest.
Well, my question is actually more of a question. What do you guys think that your position would be in the army? Like, would you be like a foot soldier, or would you be like a bitch ass medic in the back? Like, what would you end up? Would you be like in the army?
You shouldn't disrespect the medics.
Or would you be a sniper?
They'd be the ones who are saving you.
I'd be Big Bubba's bitch.
Don't get shot. Don't get shot.
I'd be Big Bubba's bitch.
John is anti-medics, everyone.
So basically, I'd probably be a sniper. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
that's like the equivalent to being.
John, you wear glasses. Why do you think you'd be a sniper?
Because I just got it on me. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like.
Got it on you. Right.
Are you clean with the pew pew?
Of course.
Have you gone to a range before?
Yeah, I grew up with Nerf.
Okay. Well, are we talking like the real Nerfs or like the toy Nerfs?
I'm talking about. I used to take Nerf bullets and put a fucking a thumbtack on the end of them, and I would play Nerf with that with a thumbtack Nerf bullet. That's some real shit right there. Listen, as a 12 to 15-year old with a thumbtack Nerf, you could imagine how much damage that shit could do.
I mean, I've been going to the range recently, and I know for a fact I could not be a sniper. My range is not that good. Also, dude, I feel like it's so difficult to be a sniper. Like you have to be able to like move like 3 inches a day so that you're undetectable. Like I feel like it's more than just having great aim. You know?
I'm really good at sleeping. I mean, I'm already practicing to be a sniper. Like I could stay in the same spot. Like sometimes I fall asleep and I'll wake up in the same exact spot, same position, the pillow's in the same spot, and I'll be pretty impressed. Like I didn't move an inch during when I slept.
Could you have moved but ended up in the same spot?
No, not a chance.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
Not even entertaining that conversation. Nope.
His girlfriend doesn't even know that he's in bed.
Oh shit!
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying, bro. With that Barrett 50 cal back in MW2, it's pretty good with it. Pretty good. And I feel like MW2 is basically reality. Just like 2K is basically reality.
Facts.
Yo, you get shot, you just spawn back in. It's easy.
Yo, I think honestly, the people who are going to be most successful are these kids who grew up only playing video games and they're nasty at controlling drones.
No, they're dorks, bro. You got to be in the field. If there's not a chance you could die, if there's not a chance you could get popped in the head,
I'm not.
and your
I'm
fucking
just
brain's
like
going
gonna
everywhere.
become a conscientious objector. Like I'm not trying to kill anybody for any government. Like I'm all set, bro. Like stop being fucking mad people and starting conflicts that you're not gonna fight, and instead you're gonna send sons and daughters of poor working class people to go murder each other for your aims.
Not even if you give them like a little cool little outfit with a symbol on it.
Not even if they gave me a cool little outfit with the symbol on it.
Like a costume.
But like that's pretty much what it is, right? Like, oh, like you get these like stars and badges, like this is fucking Boy Scouts. Like people are gonna hate me for this, bro. But like, bro, we
Said
can
it was
get
his
rid
Boy
of like,
Scout.
yeah, like what is this Boy Scouts, bro? Like dudes are playing like fucking grown up Boy Scouts. Nah, like
Like those people who go to the park and they reenact like civil wars. Like I feel like that's
that shit's
kind of where we're
ridiculous,
at.
dude. That shit's
Bro,
actually like
they go to
dog.
the park and they hit each other with lightsabers. Yeah. Oh my god. That
It's
shit's
such
so
a joke.
That is the biggest nerd activity possible.
LARPing?
What is it called? Like farping
Yeah.
or something like that?
LARPing.
LARPing, yo.
Nah, bro.
Yeah,
I would
now-
rather people
now we're
go
LARPing with
LARPing
guns.
than like reenact. Yeah, dead ass LARPing with guns. No, yeah, which is crazy, John. No, actually, which is crazy. Imagine LARPing with guns, bro, because that's exactly what it is. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
And then you could
anytime.
you could go ahead.
Go for it. No, I was gonna say anytime any like political figure gets on TV and they're like, "Here's the reason," like they'll never say it this way. They always spin it as like they're like fucking saving God's green earth and shit, and they're Jesus Christ. But whenever they go up there and they're like, "Oh, here's the reason we must like kill thousands of people," I'm right. It's actually for a good thing, and they deserve it because they're evil. I'm just like, yeah, you're a sick bastard, and like anyone listening to you should be absolutely appalled and never ever dare to call themselves a religious person.
I know we've had a lot of joshing tonight, a lot of laughs and stuff like that. But in all seriousness, can we talk about how different people rationalize what they think they're doing? Like, it's so actually fascinating to me, bro. Like the people who
Cognitive
committed
dissonance, man.
the 911 attacks, they truly believe they're doing the best thing for the country. Like they genuinely, down to their core, believe this is a good thing I am doing. Americans are evil, and isn't that crazy to us? It was like one of the worst things that ever happened. It's just so crazy how no matter what it is, it could be anything, any bad
Yeah.
thing, any good thing. People always, in some way, think they're doing the right thing. That's like
But I
Yeah,
think
no
what's
one
what's
wants to feel like a
what's
bad
one thing
person.
I think one thing that is also sometimes ignored on that same fact is that not all of their claims are unjustified. Like it's not like the 911 attacks happened in a vacuum, right? Like there was already Middle Eastern oppression that led to that. Big Big Sama, he was like a CIA operative that was used to try to overthrow the government. And when it didn't work out, they just threw him to the side, and then they just meddled in their affairs to the point where they impacted their lives to a certain point. I'm not saying it's justified, but I'm just saying like in their minds, it's not like it came out of nowhere where they were like, "Oh, we just hate American way of life," where people used to make that rhetoric that, "Oh, they just hate us." No, I mean they're like, we probably bombed a bunch of their people. We've toppled some of their government regimes. Like they don't hate us in a vacuum where we were just playing in the playground and all of a sudden they came over and wanted to push us and push our
so.
face into the sand.
So just to for all the fans listening, Dur is an Obama bin Laden supporter.
I was gonna say the same thing, John. Maybe not Obama bin Laden, but I was gonna say the same thing. There is justifying.
Well, no,
You can even
the
make
911
you can even make the argument that like the dude with the big ass mustache, bro. He thought he was doing the best thing
the
for
big ass
the world.
mustache.
Like he
I mean,
genuinely,
yeah,
I
he like
guarantee
definitely
he
did.
genuinely
He
didn't
like
come out of
definitely did.
he
but it
genuinely
didn't
believed
come out of a
like
vacuum, bro.
this is hurting the world, and I need to fix
Yeah,
this
but, all right,
problem. I need to make the
yeah,
world a better
yeah.
place. But he like did it
The
through his
road to
method. Like,
hell
he
is
believed
paved
that he
with
was
good
doing a good thing.
intentions. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. People always have some
Isn't that
righteous cause
crazy?
that they're. Well, it's
Okay.
really not that crazy if you think about like human psychology. People don't want to think about themselves as the bad guys. They want to think about themselves as the people who are fighting for like truth and justice and all that good nonsense. And then
Wait, I wanna make a point onto what Not John just said. Um, so it's not like the big H came out of a vacuum. Um, that 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 he wasn't just like from the middle of nowhere. What ended up happening is
they're
what?
real quick. It's funny that you say that because like today in a work meeting with like 50 people, somebody like said the big H, like referring to somebody with an H name, and I in my head I was dying laughing. I was like, anyway, continue.
All right. Well, so
Should have been
the
like
reason
nine.
why the reason why the big H was able to come to power is directly through the consequences of World War One. When World War One ended and Germany assumed responsibility, and the Treaty of Versailles was signed by most European countries, Germany was put into a crippling amount of debt, where they had to pay back the Western world for so much of the damages that occurred. And then on top of that, they weren't allowed to have a military, and they split Germany to the point where it was just so economically dysfunctional that people were dying of starvation. What ended up happening because of those actions, they voted in somebody who was Germany first. The same way that like he had the same rhetoric about "Make America Great Again." It was just "Make Germany Great Again," and he was
That's
somebody
why
who,
people call
when he
Trump
was,
a fascist,
but when he was
or
running for election,
one of the reasons.
he was like, "Yo, the rest of the world screwed us over. We don't deserve this. We need to stand up and get together." And that was what the original campaign that he started on was. What he did to the small hat people afterwards was indirect to the way that he started his campaign. He started his campaign because Germany was under so much financial distress that and so destitute from the crippling debt that they had from the first war that they looked towards somebody who could try to get them out of that situation. And then he ended up going on to do what he needed to do in World War II. And what you see the difference in between the way that we treated Germany in World War I versus World War II is we didn't put the same, I mean, we still put economic sanctions on them and we still held them accountable to the actions that they had, but we didn't force them to pay back the same amount of money or set them into a destitute situation the way that we did with World War I. Now, because of America's assistance, Germany is one of the most economic powerful countries in the European Union. And it's because the West was like, all right, bro, we did this the first time. We can't do this again to you guys. We don't want to have another World War III on our hands. But it wasn't like it came out of a vacuum. He didn't just pop up and was like, you know what, guys? Small hat dudes, we don't fuck with them. It was from those actions of World War I. And I mean, that's the truth. Like, I think, I'm not justifying it, but to say that it comes out of a vacuum or comes out of nowhere, I think is just incorrect.
Oh man, I was saying all that.
Yeah, but I think it's important to recognize.
No, yeah, it's like definitely important.
No one ever has enemies. No one has enemies out of nowhere. Your enemies come from an action that might have occurred before you were even like on the playing field, but they're still there because of a reason.
Oh.
Did we lose now, John?
We might have. It's fucking ghouls, man. Yeah, I think if we look at how the West treated Germany after World War I as compared to World War II, it's evident, or it becomes clear why some conflicts persist. Like the way we treat African countries after colonization, like it becomes clear why there's so much conflict there, right? Like we left those countries in destitution, and so
yeah,
when people are scrounging for resources, you're gonna get a scrappy. Ooh.
Yeah, man. I think that's one of the big issues about when people look back at history or look back at events. They pretend that like it came out of a vacuum. Like even if you want to talk about like October 7th, that didn't come out of a vacuum. It wasn't like all these people came out of nowhere with no previous history as to why they had resentment. Right.
That's a really good contemporary example because like people are always like when this conflict was started on October 7th, I'm like, that's not when this conflict started. Like, what the fuck? You're bullshit.
No. Yeah. It started way before that. It's just this is a symptom from a consequence that occurred before you were aware of it. It might have been the first time you heard about it, but this conflict was brewing well before that.
Right. Yeah, let me see if we lost now, John, or not.
I think he's muted.
Yeah, he's still here.
Yeah, I think he's just muted.
He is. Not. Oftentimes, though, people are like, they're not concerned with what came before, right? Because they want a reason to justify the position they hold, and having the complete context is inconvenient for that.
Yeah.
Because when you can express the complete context and you know it, you realize like there isn't this like just side that's in the right and like the good guys, right? Like there isn't some generic good guy, but people don't want to think about things that way.
Yeah, and I think Americans are like, by design of the culture, go on to believe that we're always the Captain America and the good guy in every story, But in
For sure.
actuality, that's not always the case. I mean, honestly, dude, I think if you look at back at like recent history, I think for the most part, Americans are pretty. Not I should say Americans. I should say the U.S. government has been the bad guy in more people's stories than they've been good guys to people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we are. I mean, like 100%. That's why the global rhetoric around this, we keep on saying like, oh yeah, we're like the police of the world, and like we need to come in and set things right. But that's just an excuse to interfere in other people's countries.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Well, what do you guys think? Like, you know how, do you guys think any major change is going to happen in the next like 50 years?
Yeah,
Like
genders.
like right before we die. Do you think any major change is going to happen?
I think a lot of societal changes are going to happen. They're kind of easy to see on the way out right now.
Like what?
Um, but I think that the way that people view gender is going to be so different in 50 years than it is nowadays, because it's been different nowadays than it was 10 years ago.
Mm,
Um, and I'm not saying that in like a disrespectful way. Like, if people want to have different forms of self-identification, I think that's going to be like like a good thing so that people can feel better in society. But I think that's going to be way more widely accepted than it is now. Like I think
mm,
the way that modern day society views trans people is closer to the way that people like society back in like the 80s and the 70s were viewing like gay people. Like maybe there were some people who were chill about it, but a part of society was really disdain towards it, and you see that nowadays, and I think that's going to change going forward. And then I also think so that I think is from a societal standpoint. I think people are going to be more accepting to that, and then I think borders are going to look extremely different once 50 years come down and we start losing cities to environmental disasters.
mm.
Yeah, I think the general scope of like certain countries and cities are going to be so different. There are already parts of like India that's recorded the highest temperatures they've ever had, to the point where it's like almost unlivable. And I think in like 50 years it probably will be. And then those people are going to have to migrate, and because of that, borders are going to look a little different, or at least border policies are going to look a little different.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see more of the impacts of climate change for sure. Um, it's just so disappointing. Like that's like one of the most disappointing and frustrating parts of modern day politics and like um class issues is that like the people in power understand that climate change is gonna fuck the planet, but they're like, well, I'm rich, my kids are gonna be rich, and that's gonna protect them from the fallouts
Hmm.
of climate change. So like, fuck the rest of you. Like, I'm just gonna pretend it's not a thing and keep polluting the earth because it makes me money, and there isn't shit you can do about it.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's one of the most greedy things you possibly can do, especially because if you're living in parts of the West, it's something that doesn't impact you as greatly as people who are living in the areas now where they're way worsely impacted. Like pollution levels, bro, in certain cities are absolutely insane. Like when I went to China and I landed in Shanghai, you could see, I mean, like it's visible on certain bad days. Like as you descend from the sky, you can
Mm,
see you're like going into a cloud of smog. Same thing with parts of Mexico City here. There's some areas that are so badly polluted. I mean, fortunately where I live, that it's super green, but there's other parts
mm.
of the city where they don't have greenery. The air quality is super bad to the point where there's like apps to tell you the weather and give you a pollution index based off of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we have the air quality meter thing here too, right? Like, it's just sad. It's just sad, man. And I wonder, well, I think growing up, like in high school, I was a bit more hopeful that when our generation comes more into power, we can impact some of these issues. But more and more, I see so many in our generation falling victim to the propaganda and absolutely just getting like
Yeah,
just railed by the propaganda, man. Like I'm like, wow, you guys are believing in this rhetoric that's gonna allow these issues to perpetuate, and you don't see how it's against your interest.
yeah. I also think as people in our age group, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I also think as people in our age group come into power, the same things that plagued our older generations are going to plague our generation as well. Like, you think corporations aren't going to be like, "Hey, yo, bro, I know you're struggling. You're living off of whatever a senator makes. You're trying to make like double that, so that, well, just pass a couple of laws for me. I
And
scratch your
yeah,
back,
no,
you
they
scratch
like
mine."
definitely are. They definitely are, and that's what I'm disappointed in because I don't think we are any different. Like none of the information that we've had growing up has given us any degree of protection from those institutional forces. I think if anything,
Yeah,
like maybe like the public will be more aware of it, but I like that doesn't really give me much hope because I'm like people have always been aware that politicians are corrupt, so
corrupt.
it's not really a saving grace because we've always known, and yet here we are.
Yeah, I don't see it making a big change based because we're just from a different generation. I think we're going to be
No.
plagued by those exact same things. Um, yeah, I think maybe the general public will be way more aware of it, which may in turn turn into us choosing to have better representatives. Like, I hope we get more people like AOC that aren't super, or even Bernie Sanders who aren't motivated by cash and they're willing to place laws into place based off of the betterment of society and not the betterment of their pockets. That's the only thing I think we can hope for because I think power will corrupt most people, but if you choose the right people who won't be corrupted, that's probably the best bet. The only issue is the people who go into politics are going to be people who are power hungry. People who are not power hungry don't go into politics generally.
Hey, Dur, would you consider yourself more like a Democrat?
Yeah,
You think you're like more like a liberal?
yeah. I think I'm very socially liberal,
There
and
you
even
go.
financially liberal to certain parts. But I've always voted Democrat. I
Do you
align
feel like
more
you
with the
have to vote
Democratic.
Democrat? Do you feel like you're like
No,
forced to be you're put in a box?
no. I mean, I know some black people do feel that way, but I feel that in general, the way that I try to like place my vote is towards making a better society for all people. I don't think Democrats necessarily have the best interest for black people. Always, I think they pander towards black people more than they actually do helping black people. But for the most part, I align more with their social liberal views than I do with any Republican.
So did you like
Yeah.
Biden?
So like these political parties treat politics like a business, right? It's like how can we corner the market on these issues? So the Republican picks or chooses their issues, and the Dems choose their issues, and these decisions they make are informed by the decisions that the competitor is making. So like the if the Democrats are going to lean like more socially liberal, quote unquote, then that leaves open the socially conservative folks, for the Republicans to champion, right? Like they don't actually have any actual principles. They just fall where the political winds blow. They don't actually care about these issues. They're just like, bro, I know like you fucking bots care about it, and so I'm gonna like talk about it to get you to support me. But I could give a fuck.
Yeah.
So did you like Biden, Der?
No, I wasn't I mean, there were some things that I wish that he actually followed through with, like student loan relief. But my biggest aspect of not voting for him was because the other option I didn't agree with.
And you like AOC too?
I like AOC more than I like a lot of other politicians. I think I don't agree with her on all the things that she backs, but I think her as a person, I trust in more than somebody like Ted Cruz.
Bro, I don't even know if like people who vote for Ted Cruz trust Ted Cruz. I think they're just like, we want to keep this seat like Republican, and like because he's been there as an incumbent, he's the most. He's just like he has the best chances of winning, so they keep voting for him.
So, okay, so let me ask you guys, wow, what makes you say that Trump's a fascist?
Well,
I never said that.
I don't. I said people call Trump a fascist because he his rhetoric mirrored that of Hitler in certain ways.
In what way?
Just like, oh, like make America great again. That was like.
Is he saying like, yeah? Is that like? Do you think that's a stretch, or do you think that's pretty? That's pretty like. That's pretty spot on.
What's the stretch?
That his that comparing him to Hitler.
I think comparing his rhetoric and saying like, oh, this has similarities to that, and so we should be on alert because of it is fair. Because like by the time it actually gets to fascism, you've already lost. So you want to be super aware so that it never like gets close. Because like the Nazis didn't take power overnight, and they weren't like putting people in chambers on the second day, right? It took a long time to get to that. It took making certain egregious things normalized to get to that. And so the best strategy for somebody who wants to stave off fascism would be to like, again, like sharply rebuke anything that resembles it too closely.
So what about
like,
it resembles it?
Yeah, okay. It was the let's scapegoat minorities and like present this like romanticized version of the old days that I'm gonna bring you guys to, and have that all be centered around some like ethno-nationalist delivery, like saying the Jews will, saying like the Charlottesville people had like good people on both sides was basically like giving a thumbs up to that kind of rhetoric, that ethno-nationalist rhetoric. And that's what people find. They're the ones who are like, the Jews will not replace us, and like yo, like white race like owns America, blah blah blah, all that nonsense. And like, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to be like, bro, this shit is dangerous as fuck. Like, you propping these people up in any way is problematic as hell because of the position that you sit in. Like, that office has way too much power for the person in that position to be saying things like this because it emboldens fascism.
Did he say verbatim that there's good people of the neo?
Yes. He said there were good people on both sides when like talking about the conflicts between the Charlottesville protesters and the counter protesters.
Were all the Charlottesville protesters? Were they all neos?
Yes, that like their whole protest was like ethno nationalist. That was their whole thing.
Because that
That's-
wouldn't be really good for optics. I'm thinking about that logically. If he did that,
It wouldn't
not
be good for optics, but he still did it. But like then like people came out and called him racist. That's part of the reason he lost.
Because basically, a big point that people make against him, I kind of see like we're starting to get into a little suck off fest. So I'm trying to switch things up a little bit. So a lot of the reason why people hate on him is because of the January 6th thing, where they say you're not gonna you won't condemn those people that did that. Like that's like a big point that's being made. Would you guys agree that he didn't say that?
He definitely didn't condemn them. At first, I think more recently he did. I think in the most recent debate he like sort of did, but initially he would not. No, and he always talks from both sides of his mouth. He'll say like, "Oh yeah, they shouldn't have done that," but they're actually like great Americans, and like the cops were the problem, and like if they just didn't steal the election, like he wants to have it both ways, so he can have plausible deniability. This is like elementary politics, bro. Like fucking kids do this shit. That's why it like frustrates me when people are so easily bamboozled by politicians, because I'm like, they're not doing anything fancy, folks. Like they're like lying like first graders lie.
So who do you want to win this year?
Neither of them.
Well,
Cornel West would be my
out of the two, who do you
ideal.
want to win?
Cornel West would be my ideal candidate.
Fuck is
think,
Cornel West? What the fuck?
He's a
He's a guy out of his fucking garage who's running all the ballots.
no, he's a professor and a social activist. Yo, what's good, Logie?
Logie.
Oh, we got Logie in the chat.
Oh.
But yeah, man, Cornel West would be my ideal.
So do you
I
like?
think
do
the
you like
odds are
Kamala?
stacked against him. Do I like who?
Kamala.
Harris? No, I'm not a big fan of Harris. I think she's a better alternative to Trump, but I feel like this whole, like again, Democrats have cornered the market on like the better of two evils, right? They're like, oh, as long as we're not as bad as the Republican, we can still like be completely ineffectual. And maybe we'll give them some like social surface level like just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Performative shit, right? Like that's usually how the Democrats lean. They here and there have certain things that they've like stayed on, like, all right, we'll like invest in social services more than Republicans would, but like there are a ton of Republicans that invest in social services because a lot of people in their districts rely on these social services. As like a broad national rhetoric, the Republican Party is against it because they're on the whole pull yourself up by the bootstrap nonsense. But don't get it twisted, like locally they're supporting those because their constituents rely on them.
Do you think you've ever agreed with or leaned more towards the Republican side in your life, like at any point? I know you've studied politics. Or have you just been like a Democrat your whole life?
I'm not a Democrat. I've like never leaned too heavily to one side. I've like always found a way to shit on both of them because I think like I always compare it to like what would I do in this situation given the information that they had access to, and when I ask myself that question, I always find them both lacking. The Republicans more so than the Democrats, but I don't think that's any saving grace for the Democrats because they're also abysmal.
Yeah, I don't think most modern day anything Democrats or Republicans are are anything to be happy about. I
No,
think the
bro.
only time that Republicans could have ever been considered like decent, and I think the closest in modern history, I mean, like in my lifetime, the closest I could ever get to seeing like a good candidate for a Republican Party was unfortunately Bush. I'm not even trying to say that as like somebody who I agree with his policies, but I think he was the last Republican that we had that exemplified a decent version of the Republican Party. Maybe Mitt Romney. Was Mitt Romney Democrat? He was a Republican, right?
He was Republican, yeah.
Yeah, maybe Mitt Romney. Like that's about it. Like I think since modern day politics, I think both of them have been jokes.
Yeah.
Obama was, I think Obama was the last like statesman that we had, and then ever since then, it's just been a popularity contest.
Yeah, I think they were all jokes. Like, they're all certainly statesmen, but I think a lot of them were jokes, man, just because their policies, again, like, are harmful to the world and to the lower classes of the country, including Obama's. I mean, when the financial crisis happened, he could have say, oh, okay, like these, like the whole rhetoric of too big to fail was always nonsense, right? Because why is it that it might be problematic if these companies fail? Well, it's because so many people's money is tied up in these institutions. Well, there are ways you can like buffer that while still getting rid of the institutions as they exist. Like you can break up the banks. You can have them like become like smaller banks and
or hold
and like
executives accountable.
decentralize, right? Like or like hold executives hold the execs accountable. Decentralize the banks. But they didn't do any of that. They just gave them a big ass paycheck. I'm like, all right, well, you're just doing the same thing every other politician has done since the dawn of time. So like, I don't want to hear none of this nonsense of like, yes, we can for the people bullshit.
Yeah, I think politics has been wrecked since honestly probably like Reagan.
Yeah, man, it's no one has the interest of like the common person at their heart. Like the one politician that I had any hope for who was on the big stage was Bernie Sanders, bro. And the rest of
Yeah.
them compared to him were fucking jokes. And
Well,
like
what do you think?
that's not to say
No, John.
Bernie. Yeah, yeah. Go, John. I've been yapping.
Oh wait, you're muted.
Wait, what happened?
We're gonna say like, what do you think? Do you find
About
yourself leaning one way or the other?
um, I don't know. I think they're both kind of stupid. So when I see somebody leaning really towards something, I'm kind of like a little
Yo,
iffy.
see ya, Logie. Take care, bro. Enjoy the
I'm a little
movie.
iffy about that. Like when I see like families that are really Democrat and they're like, "Yo," they just like shit talk Trump the whole time. They're like,
Mm.
"Yo, if you do this, you're like a bad person." And then like on the opposite side, if you're like Republican and you're like, "Yo, fucking libtards," like I don't know. I just kind of look at like both sides really weird.
Yeah, because they
Because
treat it like sport.
I definitely know that you know what's said and what actually happens are different. So that's why I don't know. I don't really have a party because I don't think that the system is really it's not like a football team where you can where you like your favorite team's the Patriots and you'll keep that forever. It's kind of like it's like a bunch of people making empty promises. And people might think I'm stupid for that, but I mean, there's some merit to what I'm saying. So I
No,
tend to
John,
just
I
not
don't
do.
think you're
I've
stupid
never
for
voted,
that.
by the way. So
I think a lot of people treat politics like it's a football team, and they stick with their team for their entire lives. That's why people are like, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, and they stay there for their whole lives because they treat it like sport. But they definitely shouldn't.
Like honestly, if we're being completely honest here, do I think Trump's funny? Yeah. Do I think
Bro,
like
as a comedian.
he's like an iconic businessman? Yeah, but am I one to say like he's fit to run a country?
Yo, someone died. Damn.
I don't even say I'm fit to even say like who is. And do I think Kamala's laugh is annoying? Yes, but it doesn't mean that like in a political setting, you know what I mean? Like in a political setting, it's like
Right, like
I'm
you're
like fit to
able to
say
look past those things to make the decision that might be better for the country, and not just like your um like likes and dislikes about the
I
person's
think
personality.
I think I've said my opinion on here before that I think a compromise should be done. I think it was one of the first conversations that we should have where I think that there should be dual leadership of there should be both a Republican and a Democrat um, president, and the only way to get things done is with compromising where both sides are kind of not happy,
Yeah,
because then
unfortunately, they would find a way to do nothing there too, because they they
they do
they
nothing
want to
anyway.
do nothing, right? Like that's their ideal, is to like do nothing. Because then, like, what can you keep people's like? How can you keep people at each other's throats if you solve the problems, right? Like, really
Absolutely,
difficult to do that.
it's like fixing cancer. Like you make a lot more money billing somebody every step of the way than actually just fixing it.
Right. Except there's no cure for cancer, but there are definitely
That
solutions
we
to
know of.
these
That we know
political
of.
issues. Well, I think it's safe to say that there isn't, because like super rich people die from cancer. Like if there was a cure, if I have $1 billion, I'm not dying from that shit, bro. Like
You would you would think that, but how much more money can you make from insurance companies? Like I've known people who went through cancer. Somebody I know very close has been through cancer a few times, and their insurance bill is insane. Like how much insurance covers it? Thousands of dollars every time they get chemo, and they get chemo like three
right.
times a week.
But at that
So
point, who
you
is
make a
this
lot more
serving
money if you're
if the rich people who control these institutions still die from the thing that they have a cure to? Like, then who is being
so
served
that
there?
there's no people who rise up and think that oh no rich person has ever gotten
Oh,
cancer.
so like the rich people are like sacrificing themselves to keep the bit
Maybe I
going at
don't
like
know. I don't know because
45?
it'll look sus if no rich person has ever died from cancer. Somebody's gonna bring that shit up and be
I
like, "What the
feel
fuck's
like
going on?"
if the idea is that these people are like selfish and greedy, that's why they hoard wealth. Like, no one who holds those traits is gonna be like, all right, I'll be a self-sacrifice
Yeah,
so we can keep the
let me
game
be that
going.
scapegoat.
Yeah,
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 that's not
like
gonna
they ain't
happen.
doing that.
Yeah, you might be right. Probably that was probably one of my takes. I was like, maybe it's right, maybe it's not. But I mean, I just think that I don't know why people turn against each other so much via politics. Like I've seen people literally like disown people
Oh
over
yeah, for
their
sure. People
political
disown
opinions.
their
Actually,
families
so
and friends
corny.
left and right.
Yeah.
And I think
Well,
I
it
think
happens so much.
it's what you were.
I- yeah, go there.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to a certain extent, I understand it, because if you like, there are certain political principles that, or things are framed in certain ways that make it seem like if you're against this, you're just kind of de facto a bad person. When we often like ignore that there's also a counter frame, and that individual is probably adopting, like, for example, the whole defund the police thing. Like, a lot of people saw that as like, oh yeah, you're crazy to think that um or to be against a movement that says cops shouldn't shoot unarmed black people. Like, that's insane to hold that position. Whereas the people who hold that quote unquote position aren't framing it that way. That's not how they're thinking about it. They're thinking about like, oh, we should support cops because they help society, right? Like, that's how that camp frames their issues. And so I feel like it's kind of tough to just write people off. But if you're coming from a perspective that says, "Yo, why do you think black people should be murdered by cops?" That's pretty fucked up. And so I can see if somebody's like, "I don't want to associate myself with you if you hold such an extreme belief." But like I said, we oftentimes forget that the beliefs always have like a you know like
they don't frame it
grass
as
is
black people
greener.
should die.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
that's
that's
not
exactly
the framing. The
what I'm
framing is
saying.
that a cop has to make a tough decision. That's the framing.
Right, right.
I
That's
mean,
what I'm
everybody
saying.
thinks they're doing the right thing. So it's literally like when you like disown people over politics, like it's like a football team. Like you fucking don't like the Giants. Like you guys have a rivalry, like your Patriots Giants.
Mhm.
It's just like I always look at those people a little bit weird from there on out. And I just look at I don't trust them.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what Slice was saying. He was talking more about specific issues. But yeah, there are people who do that. Like what Slice was saying is that like if you have somebody who is anti BLM, even if you don't like the movement, if you're just talking about the concept, that's a lot easier to be like, well, we don't fuck with each other than somebody who's like, I'm Team Democrat. Why did you vote for the other team? Like,
Right,
people
like
are terrible.
No, I'm surprised though. I'm surprised though because you're usually very gray. So if I mean in this situation, one side is like, okay, no unarmed black person should be killed, and the other side is like, you know, a cop has to make a tough decision, a tough split decision, that could potentially save his life if he suspects some shit and he just doesn't know. So I mean, you could put yourself in that situation and see it from both sides. That both sides is like kind of it's not an easy thing to just like say like yeah, well, like absolute unarmed should not be killed ever because sometimes maybe you don't know unarmed.
no. I actually think that's an easy decision to make. So when I look at it from a policy perspective, I think for the nature of this job, you have to accept a degree of risk, such that if an individual is not brandishing a weapon, you cannot fall under the assumption that they might be, and so I should be ready to like shoot them at any moment. You have to accept
That's
that
really
risk.
easier said than
You
done
have to
though.
accept. Well, yeah, of course it's easier said than done, and that's why you have
Well, imagine
training.
you're in the
That's why
field.
you're putting.
Well, I'm trying to put myself in those shoes. I always
I'm
try to
not
like put
gonna
myself
be
in
in
those
those shoes because I don't want to do that job. I don't want that risk. But like, if you're signing up for that, well, you're signing up for that, dog.
So then
One
basically,
thing that I'm gonna throw in. One thing that I'm gonna throw in is that
real quick, bro. I just want to
Also, I
finish this
feel like
one
a
thing.
lot of the
Um,
instances that people were pissed about weren't the ones that was like, oh, he could have had a gun, he couldn't have had a gun. It was like, yeah, this person clearly did not have a gun, and you murdered them. Like, for
So-
example, the
so
case where the guy like told the cop, hey, I have a gun. I have a license for the gun. The gun is in the car, and the cop is like,
Yeah,
"All right,
Philando
show me your
Castile.
license." Right, and the guy's like, "Show me your license." He's like, "I bet." So he reaches to get his wallet, and then the cop shoots him. It's like the fuck. Like obviously that's a problem.
so here's the thing, right? I'm just trying to argue for the other side because it literally, you put yourself in another person's situation, right? For when we were occupied, I think it was Iraq.
And if I did that,
Right.
I would be making a mistake.
We occupied Iraq for years, right? We like our troops were there. Do you know how many stories I heard of like a woman coming out and like the fucking she has like everything on, like all that stuff on, and underneath she has like a bomb or some shit. And she looks unarmed. So I could put myself in both perspectives,
Yeah,
honestly.
but we're not
Like,
in Iraq,
Yeah, but
bro.
that's not dealing with
that's a
American
war
pop.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
it's
war
more the
zone, bro.
principle.
No,
More the
no.
principle.
Oh,
It's more of the
circumstances
principle
are entirely different. No, bro. If you're a cop, you're not in a war zone in your own country. That's to have that
You're in a war
perspective
zone
is
every time you pull somebody over, or and they have a tinted
That's
windows.
a fucking
consider that
mad perspective to
some type of
have,
relation.
John. No one
Yeah.
should be a cop if they think that, oh, when I do a traffic stop, I'm in a fucking war zone. Hell no, that is horrible.
Every
society.
day you go
Are
to
you
work
kidding
as a
me?
cop, just like every day you go to work as like a
They're
troop.
just not
Like
the same thing, dog. They're just
No, it's not the same thing. Because you, as a police officer, aren't assuming
That's
every
just
single
like, that's
person.
like you're
degree of
ignoring.
risk.
You're ignoring.
The
You're
degree of
ignoring the
risk
risk
is
there.
just not
Saying
even
that
like,
you know, risk.
no, bro. The degree of like the degree of the danger you're in is not comparable. One is way more Dirt, you got it. I'm not gonna explain why the risk in a war zone is different than the risk of pulling someone over.
I'm just trying to be able to see it from both sides, and I think I do.
No, but that's not the side that a police officer should even be
Because
seeing it from.
this is the
I'll be
issue.
back.
This is the issue. There's no compromise. It's like I'm right, you're wrong, and if you think that I'm wrong, you're a bad person. Like that. This is where we run into the problems with politics. We
Well, we're
can't
not saying
we
that.
can't see things from the other side and try to put ourselves in their situation, and that's what causes shit to never get done.
No, but I think the side that you're trying to argue isn't a side that's based off of reality. Like somebody who's clocking in at a shift as a police officer isn't going to war where they're in active war
How do you
zone.
know though? How do you know it's not reality? Because neither of us are police officers.
Because we live in society. If you make the argument that
You're
they're
just-
going
you're
to
just
war, that
guessing.
means every time. But if you're making the argument that every time they clock on to their shift, they're going to war. By that same logic, every time anybody leaves their house here, they're going to war. Like that's not the case.
Yeah, but you're just guessing though based on what you hear though.
No,
Because if you have to respond to 911 calls, if you're like a first responder, you don't know what you're gonna show up to.
yeah, but you do know what level of threat you have based off of what's occurring.
Because
If
you have
somebody
training.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, and if you
Why do they train you? Why do they train you? Because they know that shit could get real. Or
It
else,
can get
they can
real.
take any civilian off the street and not put them through police boot camp and all the shit they do, and throw them into the field. If there's just like it's not like that deep.
No, so I think what you're thinking is what you're saying is every time you respond to something, you have to think of it as the extreme, whereas that's not always the case. If I pull up to a person who's having a mental health crisis and we can identify that they're unarmed, why should I draw out my gun? There's no reason for me to do that. Just because they are having like a schizophrenic episode, I need to put some lead into them. No, like that's uncalled for. That's bad training. Like every situation that you walk yourself into, you're not going to have a clear picture, but you'll have some sort of idea. If you're walking into like a bank robbery, yeah, maybe you need to have your pew pew out. But if you're walking into some homeless guy who is having like a manic episode on the street, you don't have to have your pew pew out ready to go. And I think that's bad training. Dude, I mean, me myself, if I walked up to somebody who was having a manic episode, I've done martial arts for a long time. I know I could just handle them with my hands. But if these people don't know how to use their anything outside of the pew pew, that's where there's a big problem. They're going to rely on that being the first thing they do.
How do you know if they're unarmed?
You can. I mean, one, you gotta situate that. You gotta ask. But that shouldn't be the first thing that you get.
So when you
get
ask
to.
them, they're going to tell you the truth.
No, but that's part of the job.
So you have to determine on if they're lying or not, and they're manic.
Yeah.
So do you trust the manic person's word?
Well, what I would do first is neutralize the situation without having to end them. If I walk into a situation and I can see both of their hands and I don't see any weapon, I don't have to have my weapon drawn. I can use other tools. I can use my baton. I can use my taser. There's a lot of other things you can do before you start to whip out the pew pew. But thinking that you're in an active war zone is going to rely on you having that pew pew out for every interaction.
So you're okay.
Even
So
what do you think? Stop.
What do you think the job of a police officer is? Is it to serve and protect?
That's what it should be, but that's not what it really is.
Protect from what?
Protect us from
what?
Criminals.
So they're protect.
Yeah, but when they take out people who aren't criminals,
What do the troops do? Or do they protect or no?
Yeah, but they're it's a whole different thing. Like it's different if you're protecting a base where you're actively at war versus you're dealing with a citizen. Like the same way that you shouldn't view everybody guilty until proven innocent, you shouldn't assume every single person is violent until they show otherwise. Like unless they give you a reason to be violent, like, why would you have that out?
Okay, so I'm really just trying to, because I mean that's the whole problem is that one side thinks they're fucking like right as shit. Like we're 100% right about this. There's no nuance to it, and you're wrong, and that's why nothing gets done.
I think
This
when
is like a
the
prime example to all the
issue,
fans out there. It's a prime example why politics goes nowhere.
Okay,
so
but like
I don't
I think
think that's a blanket
you're looking at
statement.
it as an
I don't think that's
absolute.
a yeah. I don't think it's a
You're looking at it as an
blanket.
absolute. Like if I was a police officer and I pull over a car and the license plates tell me that this person has a warrant out for their arrest, it might be worth it to have my hand on my pew pew. But if I'm pulling somebody over for a minor traffic infraction, there's no evidence of them being violent. They inform me that they're unarmed, or they inform me that they do have a license and they're not willing to use it, like Philando Castile. Why are you whipping out yours and unloading the lead? Like you have to use evidence based inferences to determine the threat level that you're dealing with.
I wasn't there, so I really wouldn't be able to know. But I know there's a whole side of the country who is who views it a certain way, and there's probably a reason for that. There's a whole side of the country that views it one way, and I see why
I mean, there's definitely a
no
reason.
unarmed black person should be killed. No unarmed black person should be killed. But I also want to give way to the side that thinks that it's a tough situation to be put in,
Look,
because
so John,
that's how you
I think what's happening here is interesting because I feel like this is where the mainstream media landscape is currently, where we like approach everything from this um general blanket, like there's like merit to both sides and there's like false to both sides. I think um
I disagree.
I think like the spirit
They try to
of that
pin. Wait,
is,
no, they try to pin us against each other. That's what it is.
well, yes, they do, but like
They
in
say here's the
general,
right way, like this is
in
the right way,
general,
and
in
everybody
general,
else is wrong.
no. There are news
What news? What
outlets.
media
There are
does that?
news
What
outlets.
media tries to say that?
Uh,
Which one?
MSNBC and CNN often have Democrats and Republicans on. They like give they'll
Oh
have
no,
like
but
a Democrat
CNN
on.
is definitely leaning towards the left, though.
Yes, I'm not saying they're not, bro, but I'm saying when they have their panels, they'll
By
have a
far.
Republican on, and then they'll have a Democrat on, as to represent both sides, and like frame the issue as though like the perspectives on both sides have equal merit. And I think the spirit of that is nice and all, but in execution is incredibly problematic because one side can be working with like evidence research based policy decisions, and the other side can just be like, yo, I just don't like this, so I don't want it to happen. And if you put those on the same stage, you make it seem like they are equal in every way, just on different sides of the coin. And I think that's a disservice to your audience. And oftentimes, too often,
choosing one way is right, one way is wrong.
I'm not saying choosing one way is right and choosing. I'm not saying one should say one way is right and one way is wrong, but when we have critically dissected an issue and came to a stance, then yes, like one can say like one way is wrong. Like for instance, the
Yeah, but you can't though. You can't make that decision because you weren't there in all those situations.
I don't.
You
Bro,
weren't.
we
You
don't
weren't
have
watching
to,
a cop
we don't
pull up
have
to a
to.
car.
We don't have to be
You don't
there
know
in
if
every
the cop was like,
situation.
if
We
you
don't
don't
have
know
to
if the
be
cop went
there
up to the
in
car
every
was like fucking
situation.
N-word.
We
Like
don't
you
have to be there in every situation to
It was going
create
off with his
policy.
own.
We don't have to be there in every situation to create policy. Policy is like the direction that
Yeah,
we
but
take.
it's a little
The
hypocritical what you're
like,
saying, man.
how is it hypocritical? How is
Because
it
you're basically
hypocritical?
saying, that was our whole gist. Our whole gist of everything is like, don't trust what the media says. But where you're hearing
That's not me
that
saying
this
trust what the
happened
media
this
says.
way,
What like you're misconstruing what I'm saying.
it comes from the media. No,
What
so
comes from the media?
our whole gist, we all came to agreement that the media lies, right? So what I'm saying is when somebody said that a certain thing went down this way on both sides, right? When a certain thing went down this way, let's
Well,
say that,
rarely do they
okay,
like.
traffic stop
Rarely
led to
do
this,
they like.
and the
No,
guy
no,
was
John, John, John,
unarmed,
John,
and
John.
this is how it happened.
In those
You don't
cases,
even know. You
they
don't even
are.
want to hear what I'm saying.
In
I'm
those
trying to get the point.
cases, they are not arguing the facts. They're arguing if the person was justified under the facts. Rarely are they like, oh, did he reach for his wallet or didn't he reach for his wallet? It's like, no, he definitely reached for the wallet. One side is like, you shouldn't have killed him. The other side is like, it was okay to kill him because, like, what if the wallet was a gun? And I'm with the side that says, and I think it's right, that you shouldn't have killed him, because if the person tells you they have a gun on them and they have a license to carry, and you ask them to reach for their wallet, when they reach, cannot then open fire. It makes no sense. I don't have to be in that situation to make that claim. I don't need to be in that situation to make that claim. I don't need to be in that situation. I wouldn't fucking draw my weapon because I just told them to reach. No, I would not. What the hell? What are you talking about? No, I would not. No,
we don't know that's exactly how it happened, though.
Okay, then
John,
John,
we have body.
that is what happened. That is what happened.
We've agreed.
Wait. We have body cam footage.
We have agreed that the media spins narratives and pushes agendas.
But no one is arguing. No one is arguing that. In that, like, John, you're like going like you're like taking certain principles and also or like certain statements and treating them as absolute. Just because the media lies doesn't mean in every case the media is lying or everything the media says is a lie. You still have to critically engage with things, even though there are like general leanings and like general directions.
We don't know what actually happens. It's simple. There's no critical engaging you can do.
Yes, there is.
You can't critically analyze a situation that was told to you. You can't critically analyze something that was told to you, bro, because you're being presented with a certain story, and you're going off of the story, bro.
But I mean that's what body cam footage is for.
So every body cam footage is it comes out, right?
That's what we want. We saw that with Philando Castile. It's the reason why we have the guy who just recently had that issue with Sonia. I'm blanking on her last name. That's the reason why he's being persecuted is from that body cam footage.
So then, good. So that why is it since 200 and was it 60 something Black Americans killed every year?
Yeah.
Why are there not 260 something body cam footages that come out? There's only like 4 a year that come out that are really big.
Well, that's part.
No, because not all of those get persecuted. Not all of those. That's also not all of them get prosecuted. Like the only ones that you're gonna see are the ones where there are egregious forms of misconduct. If you say there's a year ago. No. But what you're saying isn't like accurate, because if you're using that same statistic, you're assuming that every single one of those deaths are unjustified. The same way that one person could have been unarmed, not doing anything wrong, and got murked, isn't the same as somebody who was actively trying to attack a police officer and then got murked. Those are still counted as the same like statistic, but that doesn't necessarily mean.
You're making my point, bro. Is that there's another side who is saying that police officer, it's tough and you have to make quick decisions. Yeah, there's a couple people who are pieces of shit. There's like those are the body cam footages that come out, but I wonder how many are not, and it's like actually justified. That I would like to see all the body cam footages, but the ones that actually are justified, would like to, for some reason they don't come out. They don't come out though. You notice that?
Right, but the reason they don't come out is because the police interfere with it coming out. That's why. Because guess who has the footage? The cops. What?
That would be in their best interest because that's leaning towards their.
Not if they feel like they're gonna be persecuted.
That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense because why did the ones that are bad come out, but the ones that are actually justified don't?
Because the ones that are bad are the ones that get subpoenaed. Those are the ones that go and judges will be like, well, this was unjust. This needs to be viewed in the court, and then that is public information that then you can view as an individual. But if it's a justified one, I agree with you honestly. Even if it's justified, it would be good to be able to see it. But the ones that are justified aren't the ones that are being.
And what we're doing right now is we're literally just critically thinking here. there's a whole half of the country that believes this. Why did they believe it so firmly? Are they all
Because
like
it's all
are
they
half the
see.
country literally actually pieces of shit?
Well,
Or is
no,
there
no.
something more there? Just the same way that we should think that no unarmed black man who is innocent, or unarmed black man in general against the cop should be taken out. You know what I mean? Like that. That's like I'm trying to critically think what we've been talking about. And then you can't go to, well, you haven't seen cops be this way.
But I'm saying that's why people
Like
have
that's
that
just not
perspective
like a
because
that's like
they
an
haven't
anecdotal.
seen.
It's not good for
No,
the
no,
debate.
it's not even anecdotal, bro. It's there are tons of research that shows that like cops in predominantly white middle class and predominantly white working class environments, they don't engage the same way with the populace.
And
That's just.
who's even to say that I haven't seen that? That's like who's even to say that I haven't seen that? That's just a general assumption.
I'm not saying that you haven't seen that. I'm saying people's surroundings tell them that it's unlikely that cops will engage this way. And there are many reasons as to why.
Well, who's to
One
say I haven't
is,
seen a bunch of shitty cops though?
I'm not saying you haven't seen shitty cops, and I'm not saying those people haven't seen shitty cops either. So let me finish. Um, there are tons of reasons, not just one reason, that people do a position that says, um, and again, the position never says, yeah, unarmed black people should be shot by the cops, like, because that's a wild position to hold. So it's never going to be framed that way. It's always going to be framed as back the blue, like, oh, we should support cops, which is a more palatable position to hold. But that position came about as being directly against one that criticized cops for a very specific thing. So it's problematic if we're like criticizing cops in this very specific way, and your response is, "I support the cops," like just blanketly. That's problematic, right? Because you're completely
That's
ignoring.
wrong too. That's wrong too. I'm arguing against that too because you're not viewing it from the other side that says that an not or woman, either one unarmed black person, should not be targeted. Like so, that's what I'm trying to say. So you're doing it for one side, but you're not doing it for the other side.
I'm
You're
not,
saying they should be
John.
able to critically think this side.
We think about something, we can come to a consensus. But if people are not doing so, then you're never gonna come to a consensus. Or if people be able to, even if they're trying to critically engage with an issue, they still might not be able to see past their bias, which is, I could have a bias that says cops are 99% in the right, and like black people are prone to criminal behavior. We should support the cops no matter what. It's just easier for me to
That's ignorant.
adopt that
That's
position.
is that I'm looking at the statistics, and how many Black Americans were killed by the cops during the whole 2020, and really there was only about, I would say, about 10 to 20 names on that list that people were like, okay, this is unjust. What about the other 300-400? Why did they not have any names? Why is it only the people? Okay, so what about all the justice?
What about it?
Well,
I'm saying, why
'cause
not? Why not talk about the other?
Because
Why not put a list of 400?
because that's what's supposed to be. That's where we take our reform from. Was
Right.
justified
Is the
in
problems.
their discharge of their.
Narrative with that, defund the police and all that stuff, like stop funding them, and that was being like all those innocent people died. But I like to critically think from both sides and see why is there half the country thinking this, and why is there half the country thinking this, and literally like there's some merit to both. Like
Okay, why defund the police
I
over
think being able to
20 bad
understand.
cops
I think being
out of
able to
hundreds of thousands of
understand.
cops?
Well, this is what I'm. Well, people's. I think it's one thing to understand someone's perspective. I think it's another to claim that that perspective has merit. I can like see where you're coming from and how you came to your conclusions and the information and reasoning and logic you're employing. And I can still say you're wrong, even if I'm in good faith. Hold on, y'all can't hear me because I just did the thing. But even if I'm in good faith, like endeavoring to understand your perspective, I can still, in good faith, say I think you're wrong, and there's no merit to your argument.
Yeah.
Just saying someone is like, just saying someone is wrong doesn't mean you're not looking at it, or at least trying to look at it from their perspective. But like, I can look at it from your perspective and still say you're
Well,
wrong.
you're breaking in and out, but
Nah, that's why nothing in politics gets done, bro. That's why nothing's gonna change for the next 50 to 100 years. That's why police brutality will continue. That's why the poverty line will continue and the wage gap will get more and more because of conversations like these where it's very one-sided. Like, this is the right way and this is the only way. And I really think that the other side's completely wrong.
John,
in everything they
like,
say.
but no
we
one's
do
saying
that for
that.
so many. Wait. But we do that for so many things already. Like,
What?
there's no one out here advocating for murder because we've said murder is wrong. Absolutely. Like, we've made a stance on that. Like, somebody could come and say like, well, you're not like considering both sides.
But
Because I actually
that's
think
not the
murder
other
is
point.
right.
That's not the other side's point, though. That's not the other side. The other side's point is that don't defund the police because
I'm-
you have
I'm
to make
just
tough decisions
using
over
your
top.
reasoning and like applying it to a different issue. I'm using your reasoning and
murder
applying
is
it to
wrong.
a different issue.
What side
Like, that is
supports
not
murder?
the reason.
What side
You're
supports
saying the reason that these issues continue is because people can't like see both sides, and like that is necessary
Yes, exactly.
to get anything passed. I think you don't like. There are some sides you don't want to see, bro. Like, if somebody was out here claiming,
and nothing will get done.
for
bro.
instance, there's a lobbying group out there for pedophiles. I will always think that's wrong. I can see where they're coming from in terms of like wanting to advocate for their
Yo,
interests,
wait,
but
That's
I will
the
always.
wait.
Shut the
That's
fuck up.
that's a bad faith.
Wait,
argument.
wait, wait.
No, it's
Arguing
not.
bad
No,
faith.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's to
Because
show
you're comparing
that this can
pedophiles
be
to
wrong.
comparing pedophile lovers
It's
to
to show.
Republicans.
It's to show that. It's to. It's to show
Yeah,
that
but
we don't need to. It's
that
just to
wasn't
show
out
that
there,
we
bad
don't
faith,
need to
though.
equate. Okay, make it any other thing then. Make it any other thing. The point remains. There does not
What-
need to be
okay,
an upholding
what
of
political
both
party
sides for the sake of
supports
upholding both sides.
pedophile?
Because with that principle, then no matter how egregious the other side is, we have to treat their position as if they have equal merit, which is an absurd principle to abide by.
It will not get done. She will not get see the other side's point of view. Because listen to this. I
Seeing
view,
their point of view
I
and
view-
like
I view the
choosing
government-
to base decisions off of it are two different things.
No. What I'm talking about, I view the government as a sort of relationship, right? It's a relationship between two parties and the people. That's basically what it is. Two parties and the people, all talking back and forth, right? Just like any relationship with your girl, right? She might say some shit that you just don't agree with at all, right? Unless if you want to have a healthy relationship, you have to somewhat kind of put yourself in her shoes a little bit and somewhat compromise. It's not always going to be your way or the highway, or else that relationship is going to be, it's not going to last forever. So at some point you got to compromise a little bit, even though you don't necessarily agree with what she said. You see the merit in it, and therefore you make decisions based on the compromise. What I'm talking about is literally making this, like, not, you don't have to necessarily agree with it, but seeing the merit in it and making decisions like policies towards each other based on seeing the merit and compromising in some sort of fashion. So in like applying it to a real life example,
defunding the police because there was names on that list that people were like, getting shot and stuff like that. I want to see the body cam footage from all the other ones that passed away that year, all the other like the statistics that passed away that year. I want to see how all those went down before you go ahead and take away complete funding, or you take away most of the funding from a whole like government system. And
I think that's a fair
decision.
point. I think that's a fair point, and I would love for that to happen, but the cops don't want you to see the body cam footage. So,
Who said that? Who said that the cops don't want to see
because
that?
the police don't
Are you
release them.
saying that?
The police don't release them. I'm not saying it. It's
So
what's
how do
happening.
they get out?
When it is fought in court and they have no choice but to. That's what happens, John. That's literally what happens. The trend is something egregious happens, the police don't talk about it, and then like the family of the person keeps pushing the issue, and then like 2 months later, 4 weeks after the death of their loved one, they reach somebody in power that's able to prod other people in power to look into it. That's how all these things have come to light.
Do you or do you not think that? Do you think that every murder between a cop and a black American is unjustified?
No. Well. I don't think.
So, yes or no? No, yes or no. 'Cause I'm leading somewhere. I just want to see what you think.
Okay. I think there are situations where a cop can take a person's life, and I can say, yeah, they really had no choice, and it was probably for the safe. This was probably in the best interest of the public safety. Yes,
Okay.
I do think.
Okay, so
those
where I'm
situations
leading
are
with that,
possible.
where I'm leading with that is, wouldn't that support their cause? If you're about to lose funding, your salary may go down. Wouldn't it be in a cop's best interest to release that footage? Because I guarantee there's at least one.
Not if you think that people are gonna be like, you were wrong. No. Then it's not
I
in
don't
your
know,
best
because
interest.
sometimes there may be one that's clear. Like there has to be out of what was it? So 260. Probably more in
But
2020.
even if there's one that's clear, and the vast majority of them like show you engaging in bad behavior, you're not gonna want those to come out.
All right, so in 2020, it was 164 that were killed by police. 164 Black Americans were killed by police. So,
Okay.
out of those 164, I want to see the body cam footage in all of them.
I do too. I
And
think
I'm
they
coming
should
from
be
both
public
sides.
record.
I'm saying that all the names on those lists. I'm saying all the names on the list. I'm happy that what happened. I'm happy with how, that guy, what his name, Chauvin. He went to court, and there was a court proceeding, and he literally, I don't know if he got life, but he's getting fucked up in jail right now, and that's how it should be for every instance where there's a clear, this was wrong.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there's a small sample size out of
There is.
all of the ones
There
out of
is.
everything that
And, like,
happened.
who's
There's a small
controlling
sample
that?
size of actual video that's out there.
But like John, who's controlling that sample size, John? Who has the footage?
I just don't think that
Who has the footage?
I don't think that the video that was released is. I mean, if I was fighting for my job, that would be the best interest to put out the best videos that make us look the best.
What if you thought
And those
you
just
were
aren't out there.
What if you thought you were
Videos that
wrong?
look better?
Or
What do you mean thought? Like, explain.
what if you thought the public would deem that you were wrong in those situations? Would you still put
It
this
can't be.
video?
I would
up
be
there?
like, it can't be worse than what's already out there with a guy stepping on some dude's neck. Like,
Hey,
there's
man.
nothing worse than that, bro. That's like,
Hey.
how much worse can you get than that? Like,
Lynchings-
honestly.
Lynchings were a thing. There were videos of cops like gang jumping like a homeless guy and beating him to death. Like bro, trust me.
Yep.
Trust me, bro. Trust me.
Yeah.
It gets
Yeah,
worse.
there's nothing worse than what's already out there. So why don't you release the best of the best of the worst?
because if it's bad, it's still bad. Like if it's criminal, it's still criminal. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit criminal or a lot of bit.
So you literally just said that you don't think that all of those were unjustified.
I don't think that they
So
were,
if there's some
but I do.
justified ones,
But yo, John, again, it doesn't serve the interest of the cops to put out any. It like serves their interest to protect those from getting out as much as possible because one, they hold more power and leverage in that situation. So if they're ever in a bad situation where they think they're in the wrong, they can more easily protect that from coming out if that's just their general principle. Is like we don't release these things. So yes, it's in their best interest to not release those because they get to hold the leverage, and if they're wrong, they don't have to release the tape showing that they were wrong. I think in an ideal world, your position is the correct one, and I would hope that's how police officers, people we entrust with that power, would think and behave. But we have every reason to believe that it's not.
because I remember in 2020 I made shirts for him for this, and basically there was like 20 names that were on a list, right? So 20 out of 164 that's 12%. So making that big huge decision based on 12% of what actually happened. That, I mean, think that from a math point of view, that's tough to get to literally lower funding on a whole
Well, I mean,
entire
so these things aren't like isolated incidents because there's a history in the U.S. of police brutality toward black people. So it's not like, oh, this like let's only look at what happened in 2020.
I can see that.
Holy crap!
I can definitely see that there has been a history, like that Oscar guy. His New Year's, I remember seeing a movie about it.
Dude, I also,
Michael B. Jordan.
I'm also in the camp that we don't need to defund. More funding needs to be added, but it shouldn't be used for them to get tanks and better guns. It should be used for them to be able to be trained to deal with situations where people are having mental health crises, or deal with situations where they can take out an armed person without the use of a rifle. That's what I think. I don't think we necessarily need to defund them. I think more funding towards better should be the key. Like
In that situation, I think that one side completely got their way, and I'm big on compromising. I don't think there was really any compromise made there, and that's where I think it got fucked up a little bit. Maybe the funding, like 100% what you're saying, it should be allocated to getting mental health professionals to train these cops to handle mental health situations in a way that they're ready to go. When they see schizophrenic, this is how you should talk.
Right.
This is how you should do this, and also training to be able to handle certain situations better. Increased training, but what do we get?
There's no reason why. There's
Take
no
all the
reason
money
why.
away. Please, fuck
Yeah.
the police.
I don't think it necessarily needs to be taken away. I think it needs to be better used. There's
Yeah.
no reason why somebody should be able to whoop a cop's ass. I think if you really want to be
Compromise,
patrolling the streets, you should have the ability to defend yourself. You should be at least a blue belt or a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. You should at least have some boxing and kickboxing experience. Like, you should have some experience with disarming people. Like, these are things that you should know as a cop. I think it's in our worst interest to just allow people with pew-pews to roam the streets without the confidence of being able to fight back without the use of your pew-pew. Because there are cops who get disarmed and their pew-pew gets taken away from them. Then you shouldn't be a cop. I think every cop should have the ability to throw hands at a very proficient level.
And
Like if I
and
whoop your ass,
if you're
you
scared
shouldn't be a
about
cop.
pulling up to a car and you're getting shot at, maybe there should be some investment in a bulletproof mask and a bulletproof vest
Maybe
and
you
be able to
shouldn't be a
protect your
cop.
bulletproof
If you
self.
can't if you can't,
So you
like,
pull. Yeah, but that's such like a blanket statement. So that means nobody should be cops. So
no,
if
because there
your
are
house
tons
is
of
broken
people.
into,
There are tons
what do
of
you handle it yourself?
There are tons of people. No, what do you, John? How? What? At this point, I don't even know what you're talking about. All I'm saying is that if you
You said don't
cannot,
be a cop then.
I
That's
said
like
if you
silly.
cannot face a situation where you're pulling someone over for a traffic stop and you have where there's a possibility that they might have a gun without like pulling out a gun and shooting them when they're unarmed, or like accepting that I'm walking into this risk, but I'm gonna stay calm. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be a cop. Only people who can handle that should be a cop, because the job requires that you can do that, because without it, guess what? People get murdered. Innocent people get murdered.
We're also
Yeah, I
talking
mean-
about a very, very different type of people. We're also talking about, so out of all the traffic stops that happen in a year, very few of those result in that, and even fewer actually result
Right.
in unjustified.
You're absolutely right.
Based on the numbers,
You're
I'm looking
absolutely right.
straight up what
I'm
the
not.
numbers are.
No one is disputing that, John. No one is disputing that. No one is
So
disputing
in
that.
reality, we're arguing for saving 20 lives instead of defunding. Maybe those 20 lives could have been saved by some kind of compromise in keeping, the police somewhat happy and keeping the people somewhat happy, because you're not allowed to walk up to a car with
to
your
try and
with
keep
your
the
gun out.
police happy. Our job should not be to try and keep the police happy. The job of the public is not to keep the police happy. They are public servants. They should be doing the job that they're paid to do. Or keep the police happy, my ass. What kind of bootlicking shit is that? Keep the police happy? Fuck that noise.
That's
The
good
police
bootlick. That's
are-
good bootlicking shit. It's called a compromise. It's called a compromise.
No.
Because
no,
otherwise,
no.
listen, if you view everything like that, like
We need
like there are
not
servants,
compromise
right?
on these governmental issues. Why? Because the government is supposed to serve the
Yep.
interests of the people. That is not a place where you should be compromising with governmental figures. Hell no. Hell no. That's dipping into
well,
fashion.
I wouldn't say that.
That's
I wouldn't say
dipping into
police are
authoritarianism.
governmental figures. They're.
They
Are you
Fuck.
saying
What do you
that?
mean?
Are you saying that somebody at the DMV is a governmental figure?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, they represent. Yeah, they represent
So
the
they're
DMV.
your servant.
They
Then.
represent they're a public servant.
They're a public servant. Yes.
Not in the same sense that they're like.
So not in the same
They're
sense.
not going
Why
to
not
go
in
do
the
my
same sense?
laundry.
Because they're both
They're not going
government.
to go do my laundry, but yes, they are public servants. They have to fulfill that official public duty, like legally. They have to.
So
Actually,
the original
I'll give
argument
you
was
a good
that the
example, John.
whole side of the country feels this way. I don't see this going anywhere, but
I'll give you a good
because
example.
I know you
There was
I know you're pretty like against it. So I mean, there's no
not
really
against-
even like, because
John,
regardless,
it's like you trying to stick.
You're
to this
against compromise,
principle
right?
of I'm not against compromise whatsoever. I'm against compromise when it doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, that's why I gave you the example of why would we compromise with somebody who says I'm actually for murder. There are and like the only reason the only reason I
fuck it.
well no we won't. No, we won't. Not if
That's
we.
what's gonna keep happening.
Not if we
Why? So then why
implement.
why did it
policies
double?
to
Why,
address it.
why was it 164 in 2020 and now it's like 260? Why has it doubled police brutality even after the police were defunded?
They weren't defunded.
Yes, they were.
No, they were not.
Not on a mass scale, just in certain cities. Like, I know Portland had a defund movement. I know Seattle had one, but on a mass scale, federally, they weren't defunded.
In fact,
And
the vast
then city by
majority
city, they also
of-
weren't defunded.
of places got more funded, not less. So I'm not. Yeah, they just weren't defunded. And again, this
New York,
like
New York City. Listen. New York City proposed a $1 billion cut for the
Did it
New York
pass?
PD
Did it
budget.
pass?
Los Angeles proposed a $150 million.
Okay, but
No, but
proposed and actually going through aren't the same thing.
Okay, but
You can propose whatever you
that's
want.
an insane amount of money. Austin, Texas.
It doesn't matter.
$150 million.
Did it pass?
Yeah, but how many?
San Francisco,
How many
120
of that
million.
went through? How many of that went through? Like, you can propose whatever you want.
Yeah,
I can
but
propose
the
that
thing
you're
is
gonna be my
that's-
boyfriend. That's not going to make you my boyfriend, right?
Yo, pause. All right, but but no, what I'm saying is that the fact that that was even like an option, like let's go take away $1 billion from the police department over fucking,
Why does the police
over fucking
department need
what,
$1 billion,
100 to
bro?
200 people a
They
year.
have tanks. They have tanks. That's absurd. Police should not have tanks.
New York is huge. You know how many payrolls, pensions, and all that shit, equipment and everything like that.
I don't think.
Yeah,
we need
they
$1 billion.
also take a lot of that money through overtime. Like a lot of that money gets misappropriated. They're like using it on overtime that gets accrued. It's not like it all goes towards protection.
We talk like we're the know-all, be-all, and shit like that. And I'm trying to argue for both sides that there's
John,
some
but I'm
sort of
telling
merit
you,
on both
they're-
sides.
they're like-
we are not the whole end-all, be-all.
We
We're not like
don't-
the knowers of everything, all-knowing.
This isn't about
Because you
being
can
like
critically think again.
self-righteous, bro. This isn't about being self-righteous. Like, I think
That's how it
wanting
kind
to-
of that's
Well,
how it like comes
that's
off
'cause-
sometimes when people try
Well,
to
yes,
argue
yes.
that this is
I
like
do.
the one way, and this
Sometimes
like
there's
there's no
only
other way
one way,
besides one
bro.
way.
Sometimes there's only one way. Imagine compromising with Nazis. Imagine that. Well, I guess we can kill like a couple of Jews. Like, sometimes there is no compromise, dog.
6 million. Yeah, but no, you can't compare. You're comparing the police to Nazis, bro.
I'm
they're just using
making
the
a
example
point
of,
that sometimes
of
there's
compromise.
no compromise. But you're following your principle. We should compromise blanketly.
You're saying that there's no compromise. There's no compromising in World War II, but when it comes to the defunding the police, like there's a no compromise there as well. You're comparing those two situations. World War
I'm not comparing the two situations.
defunding the police.
I'm painting a picture to show you that this position applied across the board is problematic. I'm trying to open you up to understanding why your perspective is problematic, and that's why I paint that
Not
picture. So, but it is
because we don't have all the facts. You're talking without all the
So
facts.
I don't even know what you're talking about, but like, would it not
Okay,
be
so
problematic
I
if
explained
like
to you
you
that time, so I
compromise with
explained that-
Nazis?
I
Would it
explained
not
that
be
we-
problematic if you compromise with Nazis?
So World War II, compromising with the people who started World War II.
Would it not be
A world
problematic?
war.
Answer the question.
Bro, it's not
Would
the
it not be
same.
Okay, but like, so you
That's
concede then?
the
Okay,
same, bro.
so you concede
We're
that there's
comparing
situations.
100 to 200 people a year for 6 million.
Do you concede that there are situations where compromise is not appropriate?
In a world war, yes.
Okay, I think that in this situation where the conversation is that police should never kill an innocent person, in that narrow situation, there is no compromise to be had. No society,
I'm not
no
arguing with that.
society.
I'm not
Well,
arguing
that's
about.
what I'm saying.
I'm not arguing about killing an innocent person. I agree. It shouldn't happen.
And that's what the defund the
Okay,
police movement was.
I'm gonna have us pivot here. I feel like we're not gonna come to a conclusion on this, but I have something else that I want
No,
to bring up today.
Go for it.
Do you guys think that there should be a age restriction on using social media?
I think yes. I'm not sure why I would make.
What do you think that age
but
should be?
yes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I think you can restrict the content by age, and then you should also limit the amount of time. Like, I feel like if you're like in first grade, you can watch like Sesame Street on YouTube. Like, sure, or like, you know, baby Instagram clips, like, fine, but like, you probably don't want to do that for too long. And I would say the same thing. I would just scale that by the age. which is what.
So allowing different time restrictions and content restrictions.
Yes, exactly. Based on one's age.
What do you think? What do you think, Naughty John?
Yo, I mean, I think like when you like, okay, so you're asking, should there be an age restriction on social media in general, like, or certain sites?
I think in general.
Like an age restriction, like what age are you? What age you're asking?
That's what I'm trying to see. What do you think is an appropriate age to have a restriction on for social media? If you think there should be one.
I mean, it's kind of like easy to say, like some 5-year-old on an iPad, some fucking OnlyFans promo ad on Instagram. I mean, that's pretty like that's a lot of time what you'll find is that kind of bullshit. So
Yeah, but what about YouTube? Because I don't know if you ever heard about those YouTube farming channels where they have like pretty explicit content on YouTube Kids, and they make millions of dollars a year. Maybe not
Explicit?
millions, but hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not explicit in the sense that it's like adult content, in the sense where it's like OF, but they'll have stuff where it's like Elmo and he's like beheading another
Jesus Christ.
or crushing.
yeah, I mean, if you had a kid, would you want him looking at that shit?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Slice was saying it should be dependent on whatever. I think it should be something at least across. There should be something that's across the board, and then one that's site dependent. Like maybe like a 5-year-old can be on. Maybe not even 5. That's way too young. Like a 10-year-old could be on YouTube Kids, but then you got to be like 15 or 17 to be on Instagram.
Well, there was an app that came out a couple years ago, and it was supposed to be like introduced as the TikTok for kids. I don't know if it ever took off, but it was supposed to be like all like PG content on that app.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be banned from social media. There should just be certain apps made for kids.
Well, what's there to stop somebody from
Yo,
taking
there's
advantage
a
of something like
Lego
that?
Netflix. Did y'all know there's a Lego Netflix?
Taking advantage in what sense?
Like, if you say that there's a content platform for kids, what's to stop somebody from, going on that site to promote their toys or their product directly to kids that they know that are going to be that age?
Well, I mean, there's algorithms that, I mean, even YouTube has 18. You get demonetized for certain things. Like there's algorithms that pick up on shit. So you put in an algorithm. So like, hey, if there's any like auntie stuff going on, we're gonna demonetize you, and you're fucked. Nazi.
Very Nazi.
Very nice. No, honestly.
But there are things that
I think it really is that simple. I mean, you just gotta like, with the technology we have nowadays and the shit that shit picks up, it listens to every word you say, and the AI. I mean, difficult. What do you think?
Well, there's stuff that get through, like I was talking about for like YouTube Kids, where Elmo or a Disney princess is animated, and they'll be doing like explicit things that are for kids to see, but it gets through.
Like what?
Do you think that?
I see somebody's head off like that.
Yeah, like violent stuff, or even like them doing like overtly like sexual, but still kind of
Is he giving her back shots? Let's be real. Is he giving her back shots?
he's doing something close.
What, missionary? Reverse cowgirl. Wait, what is that one called? The lawnmower? Is he doing the lawnmowers?
What is that?
I don't know if I should be. We have a 12-year-old in the chat, bro.
Nah, he's
Yeah,
gone.
I don't think we'll be able to go
He's
through
gone.
that one.
He's gone. He's gone.
But we're being recorded. We're being recorded.
I mean, hey, John.
I don't feel. I'll tell you
John
guys.
doesn't feel comfortable.
we get
Whoa. John doesn't feel comfortable.
Nah. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Do you think it's up to the parent to control see online than the actual platform?
Yeah, completely. When you put your kid on the internet, there's some sort of risk. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when it was just AOL Messenger, and you had like your 15-year-old on that shit, and he was talking, or Kick, when it was Kick, KIK, like there's like diddlers on
Not,
there.
not to be confused.
It's just one of the things that, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
basically,
yeah.
basically the same shit happens regardless on the website. But, anyways, it's just like an inherent risk. Like, there's always going to be like weirdos who go out and try to meet kids online, and there's always going to be people who try to do your best to either educate your kid, or the company should put better systems in place with algorithms to really pick up on weird shit.
Do you think it's
So I mean, it should be from both.
okay? Do you think it's messed up as a parent if your kid's friends are online, but you restrict them from doing that?
Restrict them.
So, like, let's say your kid's in like the 3rd grade, and all of their friends are on Snapchat or whatever the TikTok,
Actually,
whatever the
Yeah, they're
the
going to be an
app is for
outcast,
kids.
bro. They're
issue
going to be an
I,
outcast.
Like, talked about with parents, like oh, the kid can't really like make friends because they don't really know what's going on. Like the conversations their friends are talking about, they can't be a part of it because they don't have a phone and social media.
Yeah, do you think that
when
you
I
have
was-
to give them that in order to relate?
When I was 12, bro, there's this website called Ebony. It's EVONY. Kind of like, it was kind of like, I'm trying to think, like one of those games where you have like buildings and you upgrade the buildings, and you upgrade your town hall. You press the upgrade and the shit. I don't know if there's like a game like
It was
that
like a
out
Sims
there right
game.
now, but you know those type of games.
Like a Sims
Kind
RPG
of.
type game. Like
It's like
build your
you
own,
you press
city.
upgrade your town hall, and then it tells you come back in 12
yeah.
hours, and
Yeah,
your
yeah,
town hall will be
yeah.
upgraded. Yeah, like one of those. And there was some. To this day, I don't even know if it was a man or a woman, and they were from Malaysia. And for like weeks, like I would hop on the website, and I was like 12, and I would be like just chatting back and forth. They never did any weird shit, thank God. That could have, like I knew their name, and there's they didn't know how old I was, but that's just an inherent risk. Game, bro. I met somebody on a game, and I would talk back and forth with them, and like that's just kind of how the internet is, bro. It's kind of like comes with the territory. So you gotta, you teach your kid well. And if they're so young where they don't even know, you can't even teach them with that shit, then I would say watching.
So you gotta instill on them those skills to recognize that there's bad actors online.
Not even just bad actors in real life. Like you teach your
Actors in real
no.
life.
I tell my brother like I tell my brother like get in the car, take the candy, and he knows I'm joking, but it's like pretty standard that get in the van, bro. Don't take the candy. Don't talk to strangers. So like just do the same thing with online.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
You know what I mean? It just kind of comes with it. It's like, that's why they shut down Omegle. That's why that's why like a lot of these chat rooms are like kind of fucked because all the old or not 28, bro. All like the creeps go online because it's like you covert. So you gotta understand that you're going into a minefield and you have to like really make sure your kid knows that. When they're playing outside and you take a look for a second, they're not going to go missing because a van pulls up. You know what I mean? They know not to get in the van.
Yeah, at what age do you think that a kid would be able to discern that difference in-life threat versus a online threat? Because
10.
you think at 10 years old somebody can be like,
10.
oh, this person's kind of creepy.
I really
I don't want to talk to them.
10
Versus
yeah.
because I'm taking care of all these fucking bugs, bro. Holy shit.
10 and before that, you should just monitor what they do. So if they're watching a video that's like 10 minutes, I know it's like fucking terrible, but until the companies really get their shit together with the algorithms and not let whatever you're saying happen, if that does happen, not letting heads be cut off. Until that does happen, I mean, you just got to do what you got to do. Part of being a parent.
Fair.
What do you think?
Do you
What do you
No, I don't. I mean, my opinion is that I just going to be cool with my kids having certain social medias until they're older.
I think like probably at like 15, like 14, like definitely like Tinder, not TikTok, definitely Bumble for sure. Maybe it's up to them, really. But
Do you think that the social media account that you allow your kids to have would be different based off of their gender?
I don't think you should
Good question.
treat your kid. You shouldn't treat your kid the same, gender wise, because they're just different. I don't know, I'm just a big
Yeah.
believer that men and women are different. Some people think that's retarded, but like when your son goes out, you're gonna have a different talk with him than you would with your daughter. Like with your
Yeah.
daughter, you'll be like, look out for God to you, but you're not gonna be like to your son, look out for the girls trying to be creeps to you. Like it doesn't happen. I mean, like you gotta understand that men and women are different.
But I'm talking about like in the perspective online, because the reason why I bring that up is
Yeah,
because
no,
I feel
I'm
like
applying that same principle. Yeah. So yes.
I feel like the reason why I bring that up is because you see different struggles for young girls online, and young men online, where young men might tend to actually be online and be assholes to people, whereas I mean, like girls can be online and online bully. I think that happens often too. People just don't recognize it, but also young girls will compare themselves to influencers and beauty standards that they see online and don't understand that there's filters on that. Like, and the reason why I started thinking about this is because I saw this. You know Philip DeFranco.
Yeah.
I love watching Philip DeFranco, and he had a bit where he was talking about how there's a problem going on online right now where young girls as young as like 15, 16, and sometimes even younger are asking their parents for anti-aging makeup. It's like, bro, what do you need anti-aging makeup for? You're gonna look like you're 7. Like,
Yeah, but it's always been like that though. It's always been like that.
well, I don't think it's always been like that.
I'll explain because okay, so before social media, there was models and magazines. Before that, there was, you see people outside and you compare yourself. It's just a natural human instinct to be comparative. And
Yeah,
the
but what
people
I think is
who ignore the comparative is it kind of happens as you get older. You stop comparing yourself so much for the most part. But I mean, girls are just like there's always going to be a beauty standard pushed on girls because that's just how the world kind of works.
I don't think it's the same because back in the day, if you're talking about models and actresses, there's a different level of comparison. If you see a model in a magazine, you realize that they're being paid for it and there's a full production for that. Whereas nowadays, you can just have a filter on your Instagram, and young people will think that's what you look like all day, every day, when that's not the case.
I disagree, man, because why in the 2000s before social media was being super skinny and all these girls were trying to be super thin. Now
I
like,
agree
what
with
was
you
in?
that I
And
agree
then-
with you that gender norms have existed. What I'm saying is the difference is the gender norms were not as prolific. You could be somebody who sees Megan Fox on TV and be like, "Well, that's Megan Fox, and she's on TV on Transformers. She's obviously has a whole team." Yeah, but it's different than every time you open up Instagram and every IG model that you scroll past makes their life look like super glamorous and like they wake up that way. Like,
Yeah, but don't you think that would just desensitize you to it? You see it so much because anything you do in life, if it gets pushed onto one of your five senses over and over and over again, smell, sight, touch, you're gonna get desensitized at some point. So you see this all the time, every day. I feel like the general consensus, once you see it, especially, I've talked to my younger brother, and he's seen so much on social media. He's skeptical of everything. He's like, oh, I don't know if this shit's real. They just like doubt everything because like so much stimulation is being pushed on you at one time, over and over and over and over again. You see it over and over and over again, and you also hear people talk negatively about those lives too. There is a big push for, yo, this shit is all fake. It's all fake. That's very common. So you might even see that too, which will just support your claims that why am I being pushed this so much? I don't see this
Do you think
anymore.
do you think that's a learned behavior from your younger brother, or do you think that's something that all young people are going to be able to recognize?
I mean, there's gonna be outliers. There's gonna be people who look at that and they can't put two and two together. But I just think that over stimulation to something, if you eat an apple for every single meal all the time, regardless of if an apple's good for you or it tastes good, or pizza, you eat pizza for every meal, you're gonna get sick of that shit. You're not gonna be like, oh, I fucking want more pizza if you just had it 3 times in that day. And that's what social media is pushing you constantly to feed. And especially if you like something, it'll push you more. So if you look at those Instagram models and you're like, this is all you see all day long, at some point you'll just get sick of it. It'll be like, I see this like all the time. I don't even want to look at it.
I think that's a very adult way of looking at things. I think kids don't have that same ability to make that
I
distinction.
just gave you an example of a kid, and he said that all of his generations kind of like that. Like they just kind of
Yeah,
like this shit, and they like they're skeptical first because they think everything's fake. Like that's like the general consensus of like that age group is that they think everything's fake online, and they don't really believe it's real. So it's like these Instagram models, they know that it's not real. So unless you live under a rock and you're like an outcast, like a hermit, and you're not like hip to the culture, I don't know. Hey, there might be some people who are brain dead. There might be some brain dead kids.
Yeah, because the thing that I feel like I've seen with some kids is they don't have that ability until they're a little older. And I think maybe Slice, you're probably the best person to talk to this about it because you actually worked with kids. What do you think?
I think it's across the board, or there's a wide spectrum. Some kids believe some things they see, they might question other things. I don't think I think they're all susceptible to misinformation and disinformation. Some things they have a tendency to be more skeptical of depending on their background and the experiences they've had at that age. Some things they're not going to be skeptical over. I think they're really no different than any other kids. Kids hear some stuff from their parents, they're skeptical about it. Some stuff they're not skeptical about it. They hear some stuff from their friends, they're skeptical about it. Some stuff they're not skeptical about. I think that same thing applies to what they get online.
Yo, sorry, say that again. You were kind of breaking up.
I said I think kids these days aren't very different.
He's being Great George.
Great George, dude. I love how y'all shoe on me.
It's nuance.
Yeah, slice of gray.
Which is fair. I mean, that's what he sees.
Hey, what are you gonna do, man? But yeah, I think the kids believe some stuff. They don't believe some stuff based on the experiences they've had in life thus far, and that's no different than kids in any other generation. But yeah, boys.
Well, I'm out of topics. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Did you? Yeah, fair.
Damn, I never thought I ever heard you say that.
I feel like our streams should not be this long. I mean, we got on at 9 and it's 1. We don't have to each stream doesn't have to be 6 hours long. You know what I mean?
Damn, you broke up.
I said every stream doesn't have
so
to be
here's the thing,
6
right?
hours long.
Go ahead. Well, here's the thing. We get into these topics, right? And especially when we all kind of agree on something, then I try to kind of stir things up by kind of fighting for the other side. And then those conversations get really long. Because we bring up so many different points. So what makes it long is when I kind of fight you guys on stuff. So
Which I
you
mean
know
is
what? You know actually where I got
Don't
that
say
from.
you
Hate to
guys,
say it,
like
but Logan Paul's podcast. Hate to say
like
it.
you and Dirt don't be on the same page 90% of the time.
Oh,
Me and John agree pretty often.
we
I know.
do, yeah. That's why I have to fight you. You have to fight you on. I have to like kind of create conversation, or else we're just like,
Manufacture.
bro. That's so true, bro.
Yeah,
Exactly,
dude.
bro. I have to manufacture that shit. Regardless of if I believe it. And you know what helps? You know what's actually good is it helps because it makes you a better like thinker, because you literally kind of have to fight for a side that you're not even like really truly on.
It does. That's
Yeah.
a practice they use in law school.
It is really good content. Yeah, no, because there was a guy on Logan Paul's podcast. His name is Mike, and that's what he does. Even if he doesn't agree with somebody, like he'll be the guy in the podcast where he'll argue for the other side, and holy shit, it makes great conversation.
Yeah,
It
he
really
plays
does.
devil's avocado.
It really does. It really does. And you can't just be like, well, yeah, this is not right, but I'm gonna fight for it anyways. You kind of gotta go with it. You know what I mean? Take all the
Yeah.
points.
Really have to
see
sell it.
both sides. It also helps that I'm a really big like kind of middleman a little bit. I'm a fence sitter. I don't give a fuck. Said it. So I sit on the fence.
Jonathan,
I also think it's a sign of intellectuality. Hold an opinion that you don't believe is true, but see things from that perspective and make a convincing argument about it.
Yeah, definitely not easy. I'm a fence sitter. I don't give a fuck. Because I mean, I just know that I don't know everything.
John's like, I'm gonna
So-
straddle that fence.
Yo, hey yo. Fuck, we not doing any movement up there. We're just sitting like Humpty Dumpty.
No. No,
We're not fucking gyrating on the fence. Fucking shit.
Gyrating on the fence is crazy.
Yo, gyrating on the yeah. That's what people do, right? Gyrate on the fence.
I don't know what fences are you looking at, bro?
Well, the other day, my neighbor, not playing. You know, one of my neighbors came out the other day, and I was looking through the window. I was trying to figure out for like 10 minutes if it was a man or a woman. Cause they're old. They're old, right? And they're a guy, but they have like an old lady haircut. Like, think Queen Elizabeth, but like on a man.
Yo, would you tap?
The man?
No, Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, how much am I getting paid?
Let's say it depends on your
Come on, bro.
performance.
Come on, L3.
If you can
Come on,
If you can hit a
L3.
hardcore
Get in
performance,
here,
you get 3 million. If it's mediocre, it's 2. Just for the activity, it's 1.
$3 million. $3 million's not enough, but I want to hear his take first, because it's been 90% us, like he said. So I wanna get
L3,
his
I
take
didn't
first.
think you'd make it, bro. Good shit. Good shit. That was so close. Holy crap.
Oh, actually, I have a better question than this, and I want to get your perspective on this.
Right.
How do you feel about open relationships?
Wait. Pause.
Open?
Pause.
Like one-sided or both-sided?
Don't put any docs in business out
you're
there while
breaking
we
up.
have this conversation. I said don't dox while we're having this conversation.
Yeah, no, like both.
I don't want you to do. Hold on. I'm gonna quit this game so my connection is a bit better. Yeah, good shit, bro. Good shit. Great game. Can you hear me?
Like me don't dox or him don't dox?
I can't really hear you guys.
I guess just both of us. What do you think about open relationships?
It definitely favors women.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So
It's a lot harder.
I mean, yeah, like a woman, like a girl, like a 6, goes out to the club and goes to the bar and be like, "Yo, who wants to fuck?" She's
Yeah.
probably gonna find someone. You know what I mean? But a guy is 6. Think of like a 6 guy. Like if think about yourself as a 6, like it's a lot harder. So I mean, I think to cope, but I'd never judge anybody who actually did it. But I do think it's like I just think it's like a losing battle. You're not fighting a losing. You're like, and also on top of that, like your girl just getting like railed by some other dude. The fact that doesn't bother you, that's like just think about it. Like you're laying in bed at night. One night you don't hang out with another girl, and your girl's out there. She's getting slammed. She's getting slammed by some other guy.
John, why do you say it that way?
And then she comes home. That's what it is. Because then she comes home to you and she lays next to you and she cuddles with you and she puts her head on your shoulder right after all that shit happened. I don't know. I might just not be able to look at her the same way.
John, what would you say
What?
to
What?
someone
Again.
who said like relationships don't have to be like you don't have to have ownership over each other's bodies in relationships? What would you say to that?
There's reasons. There's reasons why that.
Where you cut out?
There's biological reasons that are ingrained into us that are why what's it called, monogamous relationships have always been a thing. There's a lot of biological reasons actually. So for one, back when they didn't have paternity tests, it was like if you was just your girl, you know that the kid's yours. And that's just kind of been a thing forever. Like the father wants to know who his son or daughter is, if it's actually his or not. And also, I just feel like men are territorial by nature. I mean, there's certain types of men who are not territorial. Like they don't give a. There's, I would say, the general, the more like a majority versus minority. The majority man is territorial over his girl. Just like a girl's territorial over her man in some sense, where she gets jealous if she sees him talking to another girl at the bar. But due to our open relationships, we'll try to argue that well, her body's not mine. Her body, like they're being like a feminist. You know what I mean? Like they're basically open relationships are like male feminists.
Bro, I love when John starts whipping out the wildest statements. It's hilarious.
Stand facts.
Any
Any retort? Any pushback?
I think to a certain extent.
Yeah, go for it.
I think to a certain extent you do have somebody's body, but like you can expect, or if from traditional like ways of having a relationship, you can expect exclusive act.
That key word,
Attention
tradition.
and body. Yeah, what's wrong with traditional?
I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with it, but oftentimes the tradition gets this undue clout, where like it gets painted as the sort of way we should be because it's tradition, and I think that's not critical.
And I also another point I want to make that I believe that there's some sort of bonding that happens when you're monogamous. Some kind of physical bond.
Ooh, John is a romantic.
And when you're
Love
just like,
romantic John.
when you're just like, yeah, I mean, I said, I'm consistent. I believe that men and women are yin and yang. We need each other. We're better together than apart. I think it's like there's definitely some sort of like bond that happens there and if you're just like having your girl get ran through by like the whole team, and she comes home to you, I mean, she might like you, she might think you're cool, but I mean, there's
She might
with
think
that
you're
with
cool.
okay with this girl. Like, she might think like that's a cool guy. Like I'll like date him, but it just never works out. Like
Do you think?
I've seen people who are in open relationships. I've just seen that. Like I like to see somebody who's married and it started in an open relationship. I'd like to see that. Maybe like when people get married and they get bored, they become swingers. Like that's a common thing. Where it's like
Yeah.
they've been having sex for like fucking 15, 20 years to try and spice shit up. But I like to see somebody.
Oh, John, you cut out.
Actually, I know a couple who did that. So he was saying he would like to see somebody who started with an open relationship and get married.
And it work out long term.
Yeah, so I don't know
want
about
them
long
married
term. I don't know them. I know them through a friend of a friend. But one day I was just chilling with my homie, and I forget what we were talking about, but we're talking about science,
I'm
and
gonna
his
grab some
buddy's a
water. I'll be back.
scientist. And he's like, yeah, you know, me and my friend, he's a scientist. We wanted to start a podcast, but yeah, you know, I banged his wife once or twice, and I was like, yo, you can't, what? like he's like, oh, actually, that was his girlfriend first, and then they got married, and now they have a kid. And it seems like they're still together, and they started that beforehand. And they were like boys to the point where they were thinking about starting a podcast together.
Yeah, no, that's like I don't know. There's like some kind of cuckoldry there.
Yeah, there's no, I don't know about that. I feel like that's a wild way of phrasing it.
Like what? Okay, so your boy, you're knowing about him banging your girl, and you're hearing about it. That's cuck. That's being a cuck.
I mean, I wouldn't be chill with it, but I mean, he seemed like he was.
No, I'm saying that like no, there's like a certain type of guy out there who does that. Like he'd probably like take his girlfriend's last name when they get married, if it does happen. Like I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't really affect me, so I really don't judge it. But I just like I have like an image in my head of like the type of dude that would do that, and it's like takes his girl's last name, probably like cooks her food and stuff, and you know what I mean.
You don't cook your girl
Like she
food?
pays the bills. What?
You don't cook your girl
John's like,
food?
now I'm gonna let her starve.
Nah, but I don't make it like a thing. I don't. It's like I don't make it like a thing. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be the cook.
Damn, I do that all the time.
There's a really good cook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't affect me. Yeah. Well, you're a really good cook, so you want to, but I'm not a good cook. I'm a terrible cook.
Slice, what do you think about this?
I'm definitely
You
taking
know he
my girl's
thinks
last
about it.
name. What else?
Wait, so you said no doxing. That's crazy.
Well,
No one's doxing.
yeah. I just said if I got married, I would take my wife's last name. And yeah,
Why are you taking your wife's last name?
because I think her last name is cool.
Huh?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Honestly,
Doesn't really affect me at the end of the day. What?
if the name
What?
is
I
cool
about
enough,
don't know. I'm
you gotta
still
think about it.
I'm about to cut the stream here. I'm gonna stay on Discord, but like we're at like 4 hours, boys. So I think we also for like the clip sake, like for like the sake of making clips, we should have shorter streams. Like maybe like just like in it, like 2 hours
Yeah, I agree.
shorter. But like
Yeah.
it's also not bad to get exposure, right? Like I feel like